dancing of Zambia, proud and free, land of work and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for the right. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those who blend. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun, oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry, dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Green and we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I have one announcement to make. The announcement is that I have received communication to the effect that in the absence of Her Honor the Vice President, who is attending to other government business, the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honorable Jack Jacob Mwimbu, MP, has been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from today, 15th September 2023, until further notice. I thank you. Business statement, the acting leader of government business.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the House Business Committee met on Thursday, 14th September 2023, to determine and schedule business of the House for the period 19th to 22nd September 2023. In this regard, the committee resolved to lay before the House the following business for consideration. A, announcement. The Honorable Madam Speaker may make an announcement to the House on any day when it is necessary to do so. B, rulings. The Honorable Madam Speaker may render rulings if there will be any. C, Honorable Ministers may make ministerial statements if there will be any. D, private members' motions. The following private members' motions will be presented. Honorable Munia Zulu will present a motion, create separate police cells for minor offenses. E, reports of parliamentary delegation. Reports of parliamentary delegations to international conferences will be considered if there will be any. F, parliamentary committee reports. The House will consider the committee reports indicated as follows. Parliamentary Select Committee. The House will consider presidential appointment of Roy Ngulube to serve as Clerk of the National Assembly, Dr. Pamela Toela Sambo, Dr. Felicity Kayumba Kalunga, Mrs. Patrick Malao Chilufya, and Father Joseph Komakoma to serve as Chairperson, Vice Chairperson, and Commissioners of the Human Rights Commission, respectively, and Dr. Tommy Susiku Namitondo to serve as Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission. G, questions. Honorable ministers will respond to 20 questions for oral answer as set out hereunder. The details of the questions are contained in the notice of questions circulated to all honorable members. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the House Business Committee, and in accordance with Standing Order 189.5 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2021, I have the pleasure to present the business for next week to this August House. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Matters of urgent public importance, I have 3 indications. We start with the Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My matter is directed on the Minister for Home Affairs and Internal Security.
What is the matter, Honorable Member?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in the recent past, Zambia has experienced the instant mob justice, where lives have been lost. The best example, Madam Speaker, is what happened this week on Wednesday in the district of Mumbwa of Western Province, where 2 businessmen, Central Province, Madam Speaker.
Mumbwa is Central Province. Honorable Member for Pambashe, yesterday you did indicate that, and I advised, so I don't know, have we reviewed that discussion? I advised that you put in an urgent question. As you may know the matter, I think the police are still investigating, so maybe you put in an urgent question, unless if them, yes. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with your indulgence, there was a communication that I would be, if I would be allowed, to do 2 ministerial statements, one on the purported gold scandal and the issue which I just raised. I'm ready to present if allowed.
Okay, then in that case, since this matter has been raised, the concerns, since the minister is ready, the minister will render a ministerial statement at an appropriate time after he's called to do that today. The Honorable Member for Chairman North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My matter of urgent public importance is directed to the Minister of Tourism, although I can't see him in this House.
I hope it's not on human-animal conflict. What's the matter, Honorable Member for Chairman North?
It is, Madam Speaker, but it's a very serious matter, Madam Speaker.
I don't know if the honorable member recalls that last week, honorable member for Isoka raised a similar matter and had indicated on how we wanted to proceed. Maybe we leave it for now. We can look at it as we in due course, especially when the honorable minister comes back. That is why I don't know. Well, you still want to say something, honorable member for Chama? No.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, stray lions actually have been terrorizing villagers in Chivale, that is in Kankawat, for 3 consecutive days. And I've been in touch with the warden there yesterday and just some few minutes ago. But the Department of Wildlife, they are saying they are scared to go to that area because the people have been very hostile in the past. So children have stopped going to school. So far, livestock have been killed. Now people are worried that the lives may be lost. So this is the situation, Madam Speaker. The councillor just called me also some few minutes ago that lions came at his home around 02 hours. So the situation is quite desperate. I seek your indulgence. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
It's a very difficult issue to deal with. I think when the honorable minister comes, we can ask the honorable minister on to deliver a statement maybe on Thursday next week, to give him time to come back. So the honorable minister of tourism will deliver a statement, ministerial statement on that matter next week on Thursday. That concludes matters of urgent public importance. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for according me to make 2 ministerial statements pertaining to issues of public interest. Madam Speaker, I shall start with the issue of the alleged gold scandal that occurred on 13th August 2023. As I present this ministerial statement, Madam Speaker, it is important to note that this particular matter is currently in court. I would urge my colleagues not to raise issues that hinge on matters that are currently in court.
The honorable members, that's just a reminder. You know that our rules do not allow us to ask matters or to deal with questions that are pending in court. Otherwise, maybe we can ask the minister not to render. Maybe he can just render on the, but he wants to brief on what happened. Everybody, maybe some honorable members are not interested to know, but I think the honorable minister is ready and it was approved. Let him render a ministerial statement and then we proceed from there. Honorable Minister, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me thank you for giving me the opportunity to update the nation through this House on the alleged gold scandal that was unearthed by law enforcement officers at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport on 13th August 2023. Similarly, I want to thank the investigating wings for dedicating a significant amount of time to sorting out the alleged gold scandal over the last half of the month of August 2023. Madam, as this House may already have noted, the country has vast mineral resources, including gold. In the recent months, major discoveries of gold depots have been made across the country. This development has attracted a number of locals and foreign nationals to exploit the resource for personal benefit. As a consequence, there have been an upsurge in illegal mining and processing of minerals in the country. Madam Speaker, for the matter at hand, let me present the brief facts. On 13th August 2023, a foreign aircraft registered number T7 WSS Global Express jet landed at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport from Cairo, Egypt. The aircraft was conveying Mr. Michael Adel Michel Botros, an Egyptian national and renowned international businessman, for a business transaction at the instigation of a named local Zambian businessman and another foreign business partner. In particular, Mr. Botros was scheduled to purchase gold, for which he made a down payment to cater for, among other things, transshipment and customs clearing of the purported gold. To this end, the so-called suppliers of the gold engaged various players to facilitate access to Kenneth Kaunda International Airport for the transaction, which appears to be a scam. Madam, following a tip-off, the law enforcement agencies impounded the aircraft in question and searched it. After the search, the following items were found and seized from the aircraft. US dollars 5,697,700. 602 bars of purported gold weighing about 127 kg. 4 bars of gold weighing 1,414 grams, authenticated by the relevant authorities. 5 pistols and 11 pistol magazines, 126 rounds of ammunition, and 1 drilling machine. Madam Speaker, based on the findings, law enforcement agencies decided to charge 5 Egyptians and 6 Zambians with the espionage on the premise that they access the airside, which is a restricted area, for purposes that were prejudicial to safety and interests of the Republic of Zambia, contrary to Section 3A of the State Securities Act, Chapter 111 of the laws of Zambia. On the other hand, the 4 crew members of the Global Express jet were cleared and released from custody and have returned to their different countries. On Friday, 1st September 2023, the state entered a nolle prosequi in respect of the 5 Egyptians and 1 Zambian national, while the rest were committed to the High Court. Madam, I also wish to report that law enforcement agencies have since recovered more fake gold and arrested various accomplices who participated in processing and transporting the fake gold to Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. In addition, various accounts for suspects have been restricted and recoveries of the money suspected to be bribes and extortion from the victims have been made. At the same time, investigating wings have launched a pursuit of those that participated in the crime and are believed to be hiding within and outside the country. Madam Speaker, in order to address the unlawful exploitation of our natural resources, especially gold, the government has deployed security personnel at the various sites identified to have gold and other mineral deposits, following the declaration of gold as a strategic mineral, and enhanced collaboration between the Mines Safety Department with security agencies, besides improving intelligence gathering, among other measures. Madam Speaker, Combating all forms of criminal activities is a top New Dawn administration priority. That is especially true when the criminal activity involves exploitation of the country's much sought for resources. Resources that could change the lives of many of our citizens. We are committed to protecting our resources and we will continue to respond to this challenge. Madam, to anyone thinking of engaging in criminal activity, my advice is simple: don't. No matter where you are or who you are, we will find you and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. We will not allow our citizens or the criminal resources that they are endowed with to be preyed upon by those seeking to satisfy their selfish desires. The government shall continue to relentlessly deal with perpetrators of crime while creating a conducive environment for legitimate business transactions. More importantly, the government remains committed to ensuring that no one is shielded for engaging in crimes regardless of their status. While suspects have afforded their rights in accordance with the law, Madam Speaker, as I conclude, may I also take this opportunity to commend the members of the Joint Investigation Team that has been assembled to look into the occurrence and the various investigating wings, as well as the general public, for the job well done so far in helping to unveil the mystery surrounding the gold scam. I must, however, hasten to mention that the investigating wings require to capture the remaining fugitives, and as such, the cooperation of the general public is very much needed. I thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker,
I don't know, for purposes of maybe housekeeping, we can deal with the first one.
Thank you.
Honorable members ask, and then so that we don't commingle the two.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the guidance.
Thank you very much. So honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarifications on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. We start with the Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in my language we say to kukoniwe mwine, meaning development is on your own. And Madam Speaker, listening to the Minister giving us this statement, I'm a bit worried and again happy. So you may wish to know why you may both be worried and happy. Minister, today if you go in the rural parts of this country, I'll be very specific. Luangwa Valley, Luano Valley. Starting from up there to Ofera. There are people mining gold illegally. Because when they go to the Ministry of Mines, to access an artisan license is a nightmare. The artisan license may take 6 months or 1 year without being given. Minister, the foreigners who are in these areas, we are talking about the scandal in Lusaka at the airport. Do you know what is happening in the rural areas of this country? You breed. Minister, there are GXs as I'm talking to you now. In fact, immediately the lens ends.
Honorable Member for Nyimba, now you are debating. I don't know. Can you come to your point of clarification?
No, sorry, Madam Speaker, I didn't ask for indulgence. Please just allow me to say this, Madam Speaker, because we are losing a lot of money. We are busy chasing the little things at the airport there. When there are a lot of things which are happening outside there, no one is looking at them. Madam Speaker, allow me to recommend the UPND government for coming up with what WDC is. If you can fully utilize those, Madam Speaker, this country We won't be begging for monies from World Bank, from IMF. Minister, now that you have put those security measures in some areas in this country, what are you thinking about those foreigners, especially from East Africa, who are behaving now, looting this nation? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The other leg of the issues being raised by the Honorable Member of Parliament will be addressed at an appropriate time by my colleague, the Minister of Mines. I just want to inform the nation that wherever we are, wherever these foreigners are present, and we have been briefed of their presence, we have taken appropriate action, Madam Speaker. Right now, we have a number of foreigners in our correctional facilities. If you are aware of any place, honorable colleagues, which has been invaded by foreigners, please inform us. We may not be everywhere to know what is happening. We shall rely on you as our cooperating partners to ensure that our resources are protected. But I can assure you that we'll take appropriate measures. At the same time, the Ministry of Mines is processing at Zano Mines to ensure that Zambians, I repeat, Zambians benefit from our endowment.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, this issue of seeing planes landing in the nation and they actually get cleared, but they end up doing illicit activities. We saw also in the past where planes would even land and also terrorize our national parks, collect some wildlife, and depart without any trace. I wanted to find out what measures are you putting in place so that this issue of planes landing in the country, do illicit activities, and decide just to vanish without any trace. What measures has government put up in place?
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the rules pertaining to clearance of planes to land in this country are very clear. And I have no doubt in my mind that when members of the public or international community request for landing rights, they will not disclose that they are here to commit crimes. They do disclose genuine reasons as per requirements of the IATA rules. It's only when they engage in other activities that investigating wings come in and deal with those issues appropriately.
The Honorable Member from Pika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for your statement. Madam Speaker, let me begin by informing the Honorable Minister that we have foreigners that are illegally looting our gold in Mpika. I'm sure he is well aware. Madam Speaker, in Egyptian media outlets, it was reported some of those Egyptians were military officers, intelligence officers, highly linked. And in the case of the prosecution process, a nolle prosequi
On a point
is
of order,
usually
Madam Speaker.
entered into when there is no sufficient
Order,
evidence.
Honorable Member from Pika. There is a point of order. Honorable Minister for Legal Affairs. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The point of order is raised pursuant to Standing Order 65(1)(a) and (b), relevance and the need to produce evidence. The honourable member debating on the floor of the House has referred to some publications from a foreign nation upon which he is anchoring his debate without tabling the said publications on the floor, on the table, Madam Speaker. Is he in order to do so? I thank you.
Thank you very much. To the extent that the Honorable Member from Pika referred to some publication which is not before the House, he was out of order. Honorable Members, you ask the question. Bear in mind that the matter is in court. So as you ask questions, please bear in mind that aspect. You may proceed.
Always guided by your wisdom, Madam Speaker, we are discussing a very contentious public issue. Madam Speaker, I was saying, in the prosecution process, a nolle prosequi is entered into when there is no sufficient evidence in a particular case. In this case, there is sufficient evidence, and by our laws, an accomplice to a
On
crime...
a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Order. Can we make some progress? Honorable member, let me just give guidance. Honorable member for Mpika, please, as you ask your point of clarification, be factual. The issue of whether or not there was evidence, I think that is not within your knowledge. So if you could just ask your point of clarification without going into the nitty-gritties of whether there was sufficient evidence or not sufficient evidence. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In that case, let me ask my question. What reasons were there for those Egyptians to be released whilst the Zambian accomplices are facing trial before our courts of law? Why were the Egyptians released? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, I did make a statement that this matter is in court, and we should not delve into the details of the issues that are currently under court processes, and I will not be able to answer that.
I think we are treading on very thin ice here. It's very difficult for members to distinguish what they can ask, which matter touches on the matter that is in court. So please, honorable members, as we ask, let's not touch on the actual case that is in court. Because when you start saying why were they discharged, because we are now going into the issues that are still pending determination before the courts of law. Honorable member from Mpika, do you have another question, or you are done? Ask a question that does not touch on the court proceedings.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. It's very difficult and delicate to ask on this case indeed, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, the minister stated that security has been deployed to areas where gold depots have been discovered. In Mpika, we have 3 sites. Foreigners and others who are politically connected, they are mining illegally. Could this be that part of the gold which was confiscated at KK International Sausage Airport be from these areas where the illegal activities are happening? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I can see we are really struggling with this matter. I'm sure that is a matter which is still pending. Maybe we make progress. Honorable member for Pambashe. We will allow a few questions. If we see that we're having challenges, maybe we leave it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will be very sensitive not to touch on security matters, having served on the Defense Council and the oath of office. But I will ask my colleague, the Minister, on the statement made by your friend, the Minister of Mines. You clearly stated while you issued the first statement and here that there were 602 pieces of purported gold and 4 pieces of confirmed gold. 2 hours after the seizure, your counterpart, Minister of Mines, issued a statement and told the nation that they have done the test. All the 600, in 2 hours, they did the samples and they discovered that they were all copper, zinc, and some other mineral resources that are non-gold related. The minister, jeopardizing the investigations. Do you think it was an ideal situation for the Minister of Mines to issue a statement that 606 pieces were tested in 2 hours? Is that possible, Minister? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Again, very difficult. Anyway, the Honorable Minister is here. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if my colleague has a question to the Minister of Mines, he should pose that question to him, not to me. Madam Speaker, in my ministerial statement, I did not mention any 606. I mentioned the 602. So you should ask me on the 602 kgs of purported gold, not what my colleague said. Ask him, he's here.
I understand the Honorable Minister is yet to come. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development is yet to come to deliver a ministerial statement. So please save those questions for him. I think at the rate we are going, we can move to the next. I think let's make progress because, okay, honorable members are still. But bear in mind, honorable members, if you touch on matters pending in court, you will be curtailed. So I'll just follow the list then. The honorable member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that statement. Minister, you mentioned that the 4 crew members were released and have since returned to their destinations, and the 5 Egyptians were released on the now prosecute. Could you state, Honorable Ministers, as to what has happened to the over $5 million US dollars, the ammunition, and the firearms that were found at the scene? Where are the items and the monies, Honorable Minister? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Now that is going into the matter that is pending in court. Can we make progress? The honorable member for Nkana.
Madam Speaker, mine is the interest of the welfare of Zambians. I've listened very attentively to the Minister of Home Affairs. I've followed the reports over this, matter. The Minister in his submission says the people that are behind or in custody have been charged with espionage because a plane was cleared to land in Zambia. Now, in his own statement, again, he says, when a plane is landing, it doesn't matter, or they submit they are coming to do good intentions, and that is why they are given the leeway to land. So we can therefore assume that when they were coming in, they submitted they were coming to do a genuine business transaction, which genuine business transaction, happened to have been with question marks. So the police are mandated to charge. They charged espionage, and later on we are told there's aggravated robbery. The foreigners have gone away. Our own people are still languishing in police custody. The 2 are accomplices to the crime that is alleged to have been committed. Why do we have this soft spot towards foreigners? Let them go free. They are part of the espionage, but the Zambians are languishing in custody. Why don't we just call it a failed business transaction and let our people also go? Home Affairs Minister, wouldn't it be prudent that we also let our people go, because this is just simply a failed transaction, as opposed to persecuting our own people and letting the foreigners go, Madam Speaker. This is my question to Honorable Minister.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, I want to state that the investigating wings have their own reasons why certain matters were decided in the way they have been decided. I will not want to go in detail. Wait, when the matter commences in court, you will hear why certain things have been done that way.
I think we can close this matter. We are not making any progress. Let's move. I've also permitted the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. Honorable Member for Usakili, the official language in this house is English. Now, what are you engaging and debating while you are seated in a language which is not permitted in the house?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me thank you for giving me the opportunity to deliver a ministerial statement to update the nation on the events that happened in Mumbwa district following suspected ritual killings of 2 persons. Allow me in the first place, on behalf of the government of Zambia, and indeed on my own behalf, to sincerely express my deepest condolences to the families of the 2 men who were allegedly murdered by suspected ritual killers, and the families of the other 2 persons who died following the riotous behavior of the members of the community. It is time for our country, Madam Speaker, to take stock of what happened in Mumbwa district on Wednesday, 13 September 2023. The nation, through different platforms, witnessed some of the most heinous acts in Mumbwa district. Life and decades of hard work burned to the ground in few hours. What happened in Mumbwa was strange and alien to our traditions. That behavior we saw on Wednesday does not represent us as a peaceful people of Zambia as a whole, nor does it represent our good citizens of Mumbwa district. The death of the 4 persons in Mumbwa district rank amongst the crudest form of violence in the land. The riotous behavior of some sections of society will not make this nation succumb to violence. We will use all means available to rid this country of such senseless acts that deprive our people of their rights and freedoms. Although the start of the riot was spontaneous, the subsequent acts of violence were calculated. This was just pure act of criminality. The spate of violence in Mumbwa district was triggered by alleged murder of 2 persons by suspected killers, ritual killers. Madam Speaker, let me give the brief facts about what occurred in Mumbwa district on 8 September 2023. On 8 September 2023, around 22 hours, the body of Joseph Miato, aged 26 years, was found in the middle of a gravel road in his home compound of Kafwavi in Mumbwa district by passerbys who later reported the matter to the Zambia police in Mumbwa district. The body was open from the chest down to the groin, with the heart and private parts missing. The deceased was believed to have left home the previous day around 06 hours, but never returned home. Police instituted investigations in the matter. Madam Speaker, on Wednesday, 13 September 2023, another body, identified to be of Mwinya Kashweka, was found dumped in the same Kafwabi area by members of the public. The members of the public apprehended one person suspected to be behind the killing and handed him to the Zambia police in Mumbwa district. When word went round that one suspect in the ritual killing had been apprehended and handed to the Zambia police, a mob had assembled and demanded for instant mob justice. When the police refused to release the suspect, the mob became unruly and violent. In the process, the mob set ablaze the veterinary office, burning to ashes equipment and medicine. 2 motor vehicles that were parked at the police station after being involved in accidents were also destroyed. After this trail of destruction, the rioters group moved into town where it looted a number of shops before attacking and killing a Tanzanian businessman, David Arnold Mwachioma, and a Zambian businessman, Ernest Skawonga, at his lodge, which was also set ablaze. The businessmen were attacked and killed by the red mob on suspicion that they were behind the alleged ritual killings. Madam Speaker, the bodies of the 2 victims of riotous behavior have been deposited in the Mumbwa district hospital mortuary awaiting post-mortem. The Zambia police has instituted investigations in the matter. Madam Speaker, 2 suspects have been apprehended in connection with the suspected ritual killings and are helping the Zambia police with investigations. In addition, more suspects and persons have been apprehended for riotous behavior and theft in Mumbwa. Madam Speaker, we cannot have citizens behaving as if their choices have no consequences. Criminal behavior has literally arrived on people's doorsteps. Madam Speaker, at this juncture, I also want to inform the nation that the looting has not just ended in Mumbwa, it has extended to other towns, including Itezitezi, where last night members of the public looted a number of premises as a result of what they allege had happened in Mumbwa. That is a very responsible statement, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member of Parliament from Pika cannot talk like that when we have lost lives in this country. And that is the individual who was talking recklessly at one time. You can't talk like that.
Order, order, order. Order. Honorable Member from Pika, please restrain yourself from commenting. Honorable Member from Pika. Honorable Member from Pika, please. No, you said Sala, so please, please.
No.
Let's be sensitive. Let's be sensitive to these issues. Please.
Madam Speaker, this is a very emotive issue. People have lost lives. Currently, businessmen in Mumbwa are being targeted for killing. Yet you want to be making reckless statements on the floor of this House. That is being irresponsible. We should not accept that. Madam Speaker, the values and principles we aspire to uphold as a nation are under threat. We should all take an introspection as individuals and as social members of our communities. We cannot go on the path where members of the public take pleasure in taking law into their own hands. This unacceptable behavior must stop forthwith. One of the new Dawn government administration's very act signaled priority to restore order in the country, especially in public places, and to build public confidence in our law enforcement agencies. That passion is stronger today than ever. I urge all peace-loving Zambians to allow our law enforcement agencies to do their work. If we don't allow law enforcement agencies, Madam Speaker, to do their work, innocent people can be targeted and be killed without any iota of evidence. Madam Speaker, I understand the anger with the degree of crime that was recorded in Mumba prior to the riot. Suspected ritual killing, so foul and gruesome crime which occurred. Despite the fact that the crime brought high emotions in the community, there was no justification, Madam Speaker, for the riotous behavior displayed. Our people everywhere, and Mumbai in particular, should have confidence in the institutions established to deal with crime. Your government has unwavering determination to fight crime and will do so passionately. So no one should doubt this government's determination to be tough and effective on crime. I have a very strong sense of optimism that the responsible majority of our people in this country believe our determination to fight crime and will give the government a chance to fight crime. Madam Speaker, as an immediate measure to prevent further loss of life and property in Mumbai district, we have beefed up the presence of our law enforcement officers, improved intelligence gathering, and collaboration with other security wings. Additionally, active investigations are underway to bring to book the perpetrators of the ritual killings and the other righteous individuals to answer for their actions. Going forward, we shall continue sensitizing communities on the importance of upholding law and order. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. We start with the Honorable Member for Pambasha.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. The Minister, I commiserate with the people of Mumba, those that have lost their beloved one, including the business community. This is very sad, and more so that it seems to target business community, those men who are being perceived not to have come from that region. That is very bad, Minister, and I encourage you and your officers to do more so that the criminals are brought to book and those that are perpetuating the evil acts in Mumba. Well, Madam Speaker, the question to the Minister. The Minister, what are we doing to enhance the police collaboration and the community? You remember previously we used to have a program called the Police and You, so that there is more collaboration between the community and the police, because the role of the police, it is to protect property and to preserve life, so that where there is more the collaboration between the people and the community, we will be able to prevent some of these bad vices from happening in Zambia. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Honorable Member of Parliament for Pambasha for the question raised. However, I would like to clarify one issue. It's not businessmen who are not hailing from Mumba who are being targeted. It's the business community generally. They are not isolating certain communities. Honorable Member of Parliament, I hear you and I agree with you. We have taken note, and as a result of a similar matter we have raised, we have already started programs on ZNBC Police and You. We are also establishing community policing, which we hope that together with the communities we can eradicate crime in our various communities.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mangango.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for according us a very good opportunity to ask a question on this very sad moment. Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Members, order.
Madam Speaker, during various by-elections in Kaoma, these vehicles for one of the deceased by the name of Ernest, commonly known as Yakaipa, were being seen used by Patriotic Front campaigning.
Order, Honorable Member for Mangango, please, please, please. No, let's not go that route. Order, Honorable Member, order, order. Please, this is an emotive issue. People have died, families are mourning, businessmen also are mourning. Let's not bring in politics in something like this. Let's ask questions which are going to help us sort this issue out. Help the people in Mumbwa to heal. Help the people in Iteshtesh to heal. So please, let's be responsible, honorable members of parliament who are promoting unity and peace in the country. The honorable member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And thank you so much, Minister, for the statement. And my prayer is that what transpired in Mumbwa should not spread to other parts of the country.
Honorable member for Wacha, please, let's not incite. That question it tends to incite.
It's
just
not inciting,
ask the
Madam
question
Speaker.
relating to Mumbwa and Iteshtesh.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and well guided. Honorable Minister, what happened in Iteshtesh, personally, I look at it to be a pure way of looting, because the looters targeted a maize shed. I just want a minister to learn if any of the looters, if there are any of the looters arrested, and if at all any bags of maize recovered. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister for Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the incident in Mumbai is not, is not isolated. There's a connection with what transpired in Mumbai. The owners of the maize that were looted in Itezitezi belong to the business community of Mumbai. So we cannot isolate these two incidences, Madam Speaker. So we are appealing to members of the public in all the areas where the businessmen of Mumbai have been operating to remain calm and not take the law in their own hands. We will be targeting very innocent people. It's very unfortunate. There's more to what happened in Mumbai. People who have nothing to do with the so-called ritual killing have been targeted, Madam Speaker. And that is why I'm appealing to all of us in this House to be careful with the statements we make. We have arrested a number of people in Itezitezi, and we have recovered some of the maize that were looted in Itezitezi, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, what happened in Mumbai is quite very, very sad. And we have seen a rise in this gruesome murders. Is your government considering reinstating the death penalty if these cases of murder continue in order to prevent these people from committing these crimes?
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
The answer is no, Madam Speaker. Research has established that having a capital punishment does not deter members of the public from committing capital crimes.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Madam Speaker and Minister, indeed this is a somber statement that you've given to the House. My question is, you said on the 8th, Joseph Muriato was killed, then another one was killed on the 13th. And you've said that the first suspect was apprehended by the community. My question to you, Minister, is the police has its own intelligence, which is well trained. Why is the police being reactive and not being proactive in this matter? I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, what transpired in Mumbwa, by virtue of the public apprehending the suspect, shows that there is collaboration between members of the public and the Zambia Police Service. I will not want to go in detail pertaining to how that particular suspect was apprehended. But we have a lot more that we'll be able to give when the matter goes to court, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Honorable Minister, thank you for your statement. I'd just like also to convey my commiserations to the families that have lost lives in this heinous crime. Madam Speaker, yesterday I was with the Honorable Member for Itesteji when he received phone calls, and I'm aware that in Itesteji 200 bags of maize have been recovered and 27 people are in custody. My question to you, Honorable Minister, is that how far is the procurement of motor vehicles for police officers under the CDF, which is being deducted from source, because it's not reaching the constituencies? As you may be aware, districts like Itesteji don't have police vehicles, and even the police themselves had to be assisted by officers from neighboring districts like Namwala. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Member for Nalolo, for that question, to enable me inform the House how far we have gone pertaining to the procurement of police vehicles. I would like to inform this August House, Madam Speaker, that the motor vehicles for Zambia Police Service are now available in the country. What we are waiting for is clearance from the Attorney General's office. By the close of the day yesterday, I was assured that the contract has been cleared. Immediately the contract is submitted, we will start distributing the vehicles. Otherwise, the vehicles are now available in the country. We'll make them available. It is one of the issues, Madam Speaker, which is making the police fail to police the constituencies.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Luena.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The people of Luena send their condolences to the people of Mumbwa and Itesteji. Honorable Minister, whenever this ugly scenario is about to unfold, it is preceded by a lot of rumors in the respective communities. My question, therefore, is, learning lessons from this and other similar past instances, is the police going to entrench its intelligence gathering in the community using community members so that some of this can be nipped in the bud before the situation gets out of hand? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I also want to thank my colleague, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Luena, and wish to confirm that community policing is now one of our cornerstones of combating crime in various communities. We have established a wing that will specifically deal with the members of the community in enhancing awareness and reporting matters of crime in the communities. We are also reorganizing the police service reserve wing in order for members of the community who are willing to serve can be brought on board. That is one of the issues we are doing, Honorable Member.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's really sad to learn that we are experiencing such in our country. And really, my prayers go out to those who've lost their relatives in these happenings in Mumbwa and Days in Mumbwa. Honorable Minister, there was once a debate which was brought by Honorable Chibuye regarding these kind of ritual killings where we have coffins, leading to the would-be a wizard or a witch. I just want to find out from you as a Minister of Home Affairs if maybe you can think of bringing in a bill to, to change certain laws regarding this, because even if we have the current laws, I feel something must be done. A lot of people, I remember even in Chambishi, some businessmen were killed some time back. So I think it's important that maybe if it would be possible with your ministry, you come up with a deliberate bill that will help and protect the people who are seen to be suspected to be wizards or witches. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the laws of this country are adequate to deal with such situations. Unfortunately, it is the inherent beliefs of our people in witchcraft and these ritual killings. The beliefs that we have are the ones that are encouraging members of the public to take certain measures. In certain jurisdictions and areas, anyone who is assumed to have accumulated wealth, it's assumed that they are witches or wizards. Anyone who is above 70 years old with white hair is a witch. These are just the beliefs which are inimical to our interests. And I would like to appeal to my colleague, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chiengi, who is also a pastor, to inculcate a sense of responsibility on our members of the public. These beliefs in witchcraft are the ones which are causing such things. Even these ritual matters, Madam Speaker, are a result of beliefs in witchcraft and gaining wealth through witchcraft. That is the cause. So if we have to curb these vices, we have to change the way we believe in such vices, Madam Speaker.
I'll give an opportunity to the Honorable Member from Iteji. Okay. Maybe he has to attend to some urgent matter. Then with Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, police officers are trained to determine and handle various situations and to read the situations. Could it be a lapse on the part of the officers at Mumbwa when they realized the mob was becoming incensed, not to call for reinforcement, but instead called for reinforcement when the damage was done? Was there's something that missed on the part of the officers at Mumba to react before the situation got out of hand. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, I would not be in a position to blame the officers in Mumba. As you may have heard from the statement, members of the public, when they heard that one of the suspects was in police custody, they mobilized themselves and moved on the police station and demanded that the suspect be released to them so that they can mete out instant justice. But because the policemen were professional, they could not release the suspect. It would have been negligent on their part if they had done that. But they had to make a decision which exposed the policemen themselves and women to danger. Immediately they refused, people started stoning. The DC's office, the National Registration Office was banned, the Immigration Office, and eventually the Veterinary Office. It was an instant justice mob, Madam Speaker. I would not want to blame the police for the action they took.
Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I would have actually loved in your statement if you had actually given us the values of the properties that were lost. However, I think the issue of instant mob justice is actually worrying. We saw it also happen during the gassing period where people lost their lives. Again, now in Mombwa, we are seeing it. What message do you have for the communities out there who strongly believe that instant mob justice is the best way of sorting out issues? I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Honorable Member of Parliament for Kabwata. The message to my brothers and sisters is that please don't take law in your own hands. In a number of instances, when there is instant justice, innocent lives have been lost. By the time you realize that you have targeted an innocent person, it's too late. Let the due process of the law take its course. Madam Speaker, even as I speak now, there is no evidence to show that those who have been killed are the ones who are doing the ritual murders. It's not, we don't have evidence as yet. So it is unfair to allow instant justice to be the route we take. Let the law enforcement agencies take the process to its conclusion. If you are not, members of the public are not satisfied, let them engage other security wings so that proper measures are taken. Other than that, I would like to state that this tendency of taking the law in our own hands is not in our interest. Currently, Madam Speaker, I want to state, as of last year, we lost more than 200 members of the public through these, beliefs, retrogressive beliefs in witchcraft, where members of the public are identified that they are witches, and they are targeted and they are killed, without any evidence whatsoever. Can you imagine if that was your mother? Can you imagine if that was your father, who had just been identified because of what they are, because of the age they have reached, they are suspected to be witches, and they are targeted and killed? It is the responsibility of all of us to stand up and condemn these heinous acts. I have no doubt in my mind, especially the majority of us from rural areas, these are common in our areas. Can we sensitize our people to desist from doing such things? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. We can make progress. Questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 24.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Miyutu, Member of Parliament for Kalabo Central, is asking the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation the following questions. A, how many boreholes were sunk countrywide in 2022? B, how many districts benefited from this project? C, what criteria were or was used to allocate the boreholes to each district? D, when the government will sink boreholes in districts that were not considered in 2022. E, whether government has plans to set up water supply schemes in 2023. And F, if so, which districts will benefit from the project? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. Under A, the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation and its cooperating partners in 2022 sank a total of 2,182 boreholes equipped with hand pumps countrywide. B, Madam Speaker, a total of 95 out of 116 districts benefited from the 2,182 boreholes. C, the criteria used was in line with the principles of the National Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Program 2019 to 2030, which determines the existing water access for each district as well as the principle of equity. D, government through the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation under the 2023 annual work plan budgeted and planned to finance 500 boreholes to be equipped with hand pumps in all the 10 provinces of Zambia. Therefore, those districts which were eligible and never benefited from the 2022 annual work plan will be catered for in this year's allocation. E, Madam Speaker, yes, government through the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation has plans to set up water supply schemes in 2023. And F, Madam Speaker, under the 2023 annual work plan, 113 out of 116 districts will benefit from the piped water schemes projects countrywide. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Listening very attentively to the responses given by the Minister, I managed to raise this question because I realized that Kalabo district did not benefit in the 2022, looking at the schedule which was provided, and 2023, the current year where we are. In case negatives can happen twice, then it becomes a misfortune. If a misfortune befalls that again in 2023, the districts, some of the districts which did not benefit in 2022, again don't benefit, what do they do? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank Honorable Miyutu for that follow-up question. Madam Speaker, yes, certain districts did not benefit from the 2022 allocation because we were trying to ensure that the other districts that were terribly affected by water shortages and who did not benefit from the other projects, ongoing projects, were also assisted. So basically, we were trying to equalize to ensure that those that had not benefited in the past. You may wish to know, Madam Speaker, through you, the MP may wish to know that in a number of districts in Western Province, we've been assisted and we are running a number of projects being financed by the African Development Bank. And most of these projects will soon be commissioned. And because of that, when it came to allocating the boreholes, we thought that we could give priority to a number of districts that did not benefit from such interventions. But in 2023, we have, Madam Speaker, allocated more boreholes to various districts. And if it is in terms of allocation that Kalabo Central was not catered for in 2023, I think the Member of Parliament is at liberty to have some engagement with us so that we can check. But what I've also noticed is that, Madam Speaker, we regret that there's been some considerable delays in executing the projects by the contractors, both under the 2022 allocation and the 2023. And I want to take advantage of this question that my office is taking measures to check what has caused this delay, and we'll be able to make some pronouncements once I have enough information regarding that. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Additionally, an observed situation which occurs in the awarding of these contracts. It's also observed that I don't know what criteria they use, those who award these contracts, that you find one contractor is given a number of boreholes which will cover different and many different districts. And that also affects in the effective implementation of the boreholes. Are you promising that in the near future, such errors and mistakes will not arise? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank my brother again for that follow-up question. Madam Speaker, it's really kind of regrettable that you may have one contractor being given so many slots, which obviously poses as a challenge in terms of execution of the projects. But I think the Member of Parliament will realize that in terms of the procurement procedures, the minister has very little to do in terms of what decisions are made at that stage. But I want to take advantage of that question to caution that those who are doing this knowingly, particularly the technocrats, to overburden the contractors. Obviously, it brings suspicions because why out of so many contracts would you give 8, 10 contracts to one person? These are intensive works, Madam Speaker, which a contractor, one contractor, given 8, 10 slots at a go. Obviously, it puts too much pressure for them to execute. In the meantime, the members of parliament and their people in the various constituencies are waiting for these facilities to be provided. Like I said, Madam Speaker, I am carrying out some checks to ascertain what really happened and also the overload of allocations to particular contractors, and I'll be able to engage members of parliament once I have full information regarding that. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we need to catch up on our work. I've seen a lot of members would want to ask questions. I would urge the honorable members to engage the honorable minister so that we compensate for time lost because we are still very far from the core business of the House. So we make progress. Next question, the honorable member for Lukasha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 25. Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honorable Chisanga, MP for Lukansha, asked the following questions. Whether the government is aware of the outbreak of cassava brown streak which occurred in March 2023 in the following wards in Lukansha parliamentary constituency: 1, Kapanda; 2, Lualuo; 3, Kapongolo; 4, Musowa; and 5, Chivunda. B, if so, what measures are being taken to assist the affected farmers? And C, what measures are being taken to prevent the outbreak of similar diseases in future? Madam Speaker, government is aware of the outbreak of cassava brown streak disease in the following wards of Lukansha parliamentary constituency: 1, Kapanda; 2, Lualo; 3, Kapongolo; 4, Musowa; 5, Chibunda. The following measures are being taken to assist the affected farmers. 1, farmers are being provided with clean planting material sourced from a farm called Sunbed Farms in Kawambwa, which has clean planting materials. 2, government and regional bodies such as SADC are establishing gene banks for clean planting materials. 3, sensitizing farmers on the outbreak and the effects of cassava brown streak disease. C, the following measures are being taken to prevent outbreak of similar diseases in future. 1, mapping and containing disease from further outbreak by regulating movement of cassava cuttings to and from affected areas. 2, introducing disease-tolerant cassava varieties in collaboration with other stakeholders such as the Disaster Mitigation Management Unit. 3, conducting research on disease-tolerant varieties through the Zambia Agricultural Research Institute and surveillance of any possible outbreak of cassava brown streak disease. 4, destruction of affected plant materials from all fields. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Lukasha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for that explanation. I just wanted to find out what government is doing to assist the farmers whose crops are destroyed because they're now threatened with hunger. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, my honorable colleague. I just want to assure you that the Disaster Management Unit under the Office of the President, Vice President is taking appropriate measures so that our people are not affected by hunger in Lukansha.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Lufanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 26.
The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Fanyama, Honorable Satsumo, asks whether the government has any plans to give the dump sites at Kajem Mine in Lofanyama parliamentary constituency to the local youths, and if so, when the plans will be implemented. Our response, Madam Speaker, yes, government has plans to give the dump sites to the local youths in various constituencies where they are available, including in Lufwanyama constituency. However, these dump sites are licensed to private companies, and engagements are currently ongoing on the possibility of them apportioning part of the dump sites to the government. B, as indicated in A above, implementation of the plans is subject to the outcome of the ongoing engagements with the license holders of the dump sites. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member from Rufanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister of Mines, the dump site has always been, a topical issue, and it has taken long to give it to the local youths, including, the Copper Belt youths. So when are we going to have it? Because when you look at the sister company, Grizzly Mining, whereby we don't have any shares, because for Kajam, the government has got shares. Why has it taken so long to award the youths, to have, access to the dump sites in Rufanyama? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, and thank you, Madam Speaker. As I said, we are negotiating. Actually, the approach, Madam Speaker, is holistic. It's not only in Lufanyama, there are dump sites in Kitwe and in Mufulira and other areas where these negotiations are taking place. What we are avoiding, Honorable Member, is to have a cadre of youths that will just get the dump sites, mine, get the money, go away. When they are broke, they still come back and say, we need more dump sites. We want it to be in such a way that our youths can graduate into proper miners after, because dump sites are wasting assets. They waste away. So we want them to graduate and become proper miners, or even raise capital and do other businesses apart from mining. So that's why we want to be very methodical and be very careful as we do these negotiations. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Lufanyama, you have any other question? If you don't have, then your neighbor, the Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
Thank you, Madam. I think the Minister has clarified that the dump sites, including that one in Kankoyo, is still under negotiation. So we'll wait for the time they will conclude. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Members. As I indicated, we need to catch up, so we move. The next question, the Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 27.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Mtachalo, MP for Chairman North, is asking the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development the following question. Under A, whether the government is aware that members of the Local Authorities Superannuation Fund, LASIF, have been experiencing challenges in accessing their pension benefits and annuities. B, if so, what measures are being taken to address the challenges? And C, what measures the government is implementing to ensure that LASIF is sustainable in its current and future operations? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. A, government is aware of the challenges faced by members of the LASIF in accessing their pension benefits. B, government is addressing the challenges by helping the fund with liquidity or indeed additional funding.
Order in the corner there, Honorable Members, please. Honorable Member for Chirubi and Honorable Member for Kantanshe. Please, can we observe? If you want to chat, you can step out and chat. May the Honorable Minister continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I'll repeat, under B, government is addressing the challenges by helping the fund with liquidity. C, government is reviewing the LASIF Act and also reviewing the fund's long-term position in regards to pension fund administration. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, Honorable Member for Chairman North.
Thank you, Minister, for that response. Acting Minister, you know, workers, because LASIF actually covers those who are working for ZESCO, National Housing Authority, and the local authorities. These workers are going through a lot of challenges. So you are saying that the government has been helping in terms of funding to LASIF. When was LASIF funded? When did the government fund LASIF? Because up to this time, the retirees are languishing. Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. According to the information provided to me, Madam Speaker, government has been releasing some funds annually to assist LASIF, and I have here information to the effect that from 2016, 2017, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, up to this year, there have been these funds that have been disbursed to LASIF, and I have the amounts here which I can engage the MP at a later stage. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chairman North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister. The sustainability of LASIF, because I know that after NAPSA was created, all new employees automatically became members of NAPSA. But meanwhile, the government still maintained LASIF as a pension scheme. So when is government going to bring that bill so that to amend the LASIF Act so that LASIF can be receiving new members? Because I believe that that is the only way we are going to sustain that pension. Unlike at the moment where they don't receive new members, depend on government funding. So when do you think government is going to bring that bill so that the act can be amended? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Rural Development, Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I also want to thank my brother for that additional or follow-up question. Madam Speaker, very soon the bill will be presented to Parliament. Currently, we are at a stage where we are trying to get some inputs from members of the executive. So the CAB memo, as I speak, is in circulation so that we could get some input from other members of the executive. So the process is ongoing, and I want to assure you that very soon the bill will be on the floor of the House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chasefu.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Although my question has been overtaken by events, but just to emphasize as a comment, to thank government that they should speed up the process, because the policies or the principles of pension is that those who are existing should do, two people existing should do finance one person who is exited. And right now, LASIF is affected by the NAPSA Act of 2000. So there is no money going to LASIF. So I'm happy that he has elaborated very well, and pray that this process is expedited so that our council workers also can be getting their benefits like any other institution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was a comment. Honorable Member for Chienge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, This LASIF thing, I think, I would like just to find out from the government, the New Dawn government, why can't they just dissolve it, like they did with, like what has happened to NPF, and align it with NAPSA? Because a lot of people, some have even died without getting their benefits. And we'll keep on talking and talking. Each government in, another government in, out. This LASIF problem is still there. So I think, why can't the government just merge LASIF with NAPSA like they did with NPF? I think it will help our people. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank Honorable Member of Parliament for Chiengi for that question. Madam Speaker, like I indicated under C, that we are reviewing the Act, and very soon the bill will be here. So we are not just talking, but I agree with you that in the past there's been talking, but we've come in and the process has started, and let's see the form it's going to take, and members of Parliament will have an opportunity to debate the bill and advise what form they want this to take. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. People of Chadiza are asking question number 28.
Order. As the time is 10:20, I suspend business 2040, sorry. 10:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
For still being with us on Parliament Television. Business has been suspended for 20 minutes for that healthy break. And at the time business was suspended, the House was considering question 27, which came from Mr. Mtachalo Chama North, Member of Parliament, and the member wanted to find out from the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development whether the government is aware that members of the Local Authorities Superannuation Fund, LASIF, have been experiencing challenges in accessing their pension benefits and utilities. And earlier on, Madam Speaker did permit the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security to render two ministerial statements, and the first ministerial statement was on the alleged gold scandal, and we'll share with you details of that ministerial statement later. And the second ministerial statement that was rendered on the floor of the House was updating the nation of the events that happened in Mumba district following suspected ritual killings of two persons. As well, we'll be able to share with you details of that second ministerial statement at adjournment time. The House so far has considered 3 questions for oral answer, and still to come, we do have 3 more questions that will be considered on the floor of the House, and we'll have the resumption of the motion of 13th September 2023, thanks His Excellency the President's address. And at the time business was suspended yesterday for adjournment, it was Kanchivia, Member of Parliament, Mr. Sunday Chanda, who was on the floor of the House debating. So when this motion comes up for consideration, the member will continue debating. So basically that's the business that has been considered on the floor of the House from 09 hours. We take a short break, and I'll be able to share with you some of the details of the remaining items on today's order paper. Keep watching Parliament Television.
Despite Zambia signing to a number of international instruments and enacting local laws that compel the country to ensuring that there is gender equality in decision-making positions, the participation of women still remains low. It is for this reason that the Zambia Women Parliamentary Caucus, ZWPC, continues to sensitize the masses on the importance of women in leadership and the need to increase their numbers in politics and other decision-making positions. The ZWPC this year undertook a sensitization program with an aim to mobilize support for the 27 female parliamentarians and profile their work. The caucus reached out to 17 out of the 20 constituencies held by elected female members of parliament. The program is being executed under the Democracy Strengthening in Zambia project with support from the United Nations Development Program. Kembe constituency is one of the constituencies that the caucus has visited. ZWPC, accompanied by its chairperson, Honorable Princess Kasune, paid a courtesy call on His Royal Highness Chief Chitanda of the Lenje-speaking people in Chibombo district, whom they briefed on their program.
Through our work, we were funded by UNDP so that we can go in the constituencies and orient our people so that even at local level, we hope that there will be councillors who will be female, there will be mayors who will be female, at least so that we can close that gender gap and that gender parity.
Tikalangana kumbuyo kuma elections kambiri tenzo facing ma violence machani ero tikalangana bazimayi kambiri violence sibayikonda because vili vonse vane vili associated na violence bakazi ndiyo zankala ku bedside kukankala maliro bakazi ndiyo zachita bwanji so bayimvera Japan so kambiri they shy away from my elections amene. So as a women's caucus tinalangana to say Zambia is a democratic country ero democracy kutinkale bwino wonse bakazi na bamuna bafunika bazika muri vama politics because they are good policies yamene yalangana kuli gender and only the women that feel it ndiye baza pushingira for those policies na laws kuti yankale formed. Example ya laws ni aja kutila re-entry policy kapena wankala na mimba wabwerera ku school.
Chief Chitanda expressed his gratitude on the caucus program, saying women play a pivotal role in every sector of the nation.
So, chichi, ndajitambula, mwindilishe ali mutoleleshe mtawoli pesule.
That this message has been received wholeheartedly in Chief Chitanda. Don't look behind, go ahead and work.
Awamami wonse wabiyangi atujitambule ichi. Wamana kashi atuwabe ambao tuwe pomui kwamba tusevensere pomui alimu awani awana mayo.
The chief has appealed to you that you reach out to every chiefdom so that every woman must be involved in decision making.
After paying the courtesy call, the delegation proceeded on its mission of sensitizing the masses on the importance of women in leadership. ZWPC Program Officer Mrs. Lombe Nambaya made some presentations in which he highlighted the importance of women being equal partners in the process of democracy.
An MP has got responsibilities to represent first a party that has elected them for those that are coming from a party. So they have to align the party policies as well as the manifesto. Then also an MP has got responsibilities also in the constituency. So the MP acts as a bridge between the constituency and the people, that the constituency and the government. So the responsibilities are developmental issues that the MP looks at for a constituency.
And after the presentations, some women shared their views from the information that ZWPC had shared with them.
Pagulumba maningi bulimbo batwiha mumikaliro y'abana mayo butandiswa twapegwa lubazu lwa kuyimiga na bana mayo twajana nguzu so jatupagugondwa maningi muri twitwateka kubona mukuti nichakwa jisi twapa kukoma na bana mayo kambodi njanju manda motubede mapenzi ndiso asigira ndiso kubana mayo so twabona kuti naye lugwaho lwataleka kusika kubana mayo tulapa kukoma na maningi twajikonya kukusunga bana besu winda mu mijitombwe tiyitirire government so tulapa kukoma na maningi twalumba buli mbuba twambira utaniso bana mayo tunakujana hii lubazu kukuyimikana so tulapa kulumba maningi so twabona kuti jisi jiabu jincha kokulumba kwangu andimbe kondi jisi abuziwa bwasunu buli mbuba twambira bamama besu mbali kutuyihya
nguba twambira siko twanyufwa akaboto ari mwitwatambura ari mwitulanda kwamba ishitorerere kambo batupako nkusu sobene mayo kwamba ituchikonsha sikwewo kuyuma kambo batwambira kwamba tikalinga kuchiteko rubasu kuba ne mayono apa twakaba kurubasu asiko tuyete kusebenza akuchita shiri shonse akuyimikana katubamba shintu shierete so isho twakondwa kambo siko turapengekana pakwamba itunosunga bamana bamasangwa baratushiya but sikwewo na twachana tutwaya mukusebenzera utu twachana kwamba itusunge bana kutora bana kuchikoro so barombe mbo batuvikako kwamba baratuchafwa kuma mafetraisi makilabo shonse shakwamba itunope kwako maria kwamba itunosunga bana makamaka mukulima icho twachirumba vumbi.
Nonetheless, with the enactment of the Gender Equality and Equity Act of 2015 and other regional and international conventions that Zambia has assented to, these have been beneficial in facilitating women's inclusion in governance processes.
My name is Christopher Kangombe, Member of Parliament for the good people of Kamfinsa constituency. I was born in Kitwe. I basically did all my education in Kitwe. Started my primary school in where I am today at Justin Kawe Basic School in Indeke. Went to Kitwe Boys Secondary School in Kitwe, and later on I pursued a degree in electrical mechanical engineering, where I graduated at CBU. I think should have been 2009 thereabout. At that time I was already doing civic work. I was already an elected councillor in an area called Riverside in Kitwe, and of course later on I was privileged to have been given an opportunity by the people of Kitwe to work as mayor of the city in between 2016 and 2021. Then of course last year I got an opportunity to represent the community where I was raised, where I grew up, which is Kamfinsa constituency. I am married. I'm a father of 3 children. I think the eldest must be 10. Yes, 10. The second born is 8 and the last one is 5. Yeah, professionally I've worked for Mopani Copper Mines. I used to work as an assistant engineer there. I worked for Luansha Copper Mines, and before going full-time into civic work and political work, I worked for a company called Atlas Copco, where I was selling mining equipment. So I happen to have an understanding of what happens in the private sector. I also have an understanding of what happens in governance. So it's been a great honor reaching this stage where now I can come to Parliament and come and not only represent the people of Kamfinsa, but also try and urge government. You know, our role as parliamentarians is to provide oversight. I love watching football. If I was not an engineer, I think I would have been a very good football player. I read a lot. It's good to read. As a leader, you have to read, because when you are reading, you tend to understand what is happening globally, you tend to understand history, and you tend to understand so many different aspects. Kamfinsa constituency is the first constituency as you enter Kitwe. So on your right, where the boundary with Ndola ends, Kamfinsa starts. So the entire farm block, where the prison is, you go further with the boundary with is it Mufulira Ndola Road, that boundary, that is the outer boundary. You come to Ndeke, Kitwe, Mlenga compound, Mkuba na Twange, that is the geographical description of Kamfinsa. Of course, we have challenges in the constituency. We have challenges of water. I was raising an issue earlier with our Honor the Vice President, asking government to work on the water supply network in the constituency. We did start a project, I think in 2019, under Nkana Water and Sewerage, but the project could not proceed because a few things had to be changed. So we have challenges of water. We of course have challenges of unemployment, just like any other constituency. And with more young people finishing school, I think it will continue to pose as a challenge. And I'm hoping that we could find solutions here and also in the constituency, and of course other stakeholders. We are predominantly an agriculture economy. Most people do agriculture, but majority of them on the urban side of the constituency do trading. Some of them work in the mines. So what is happening on the copper belt, Mopani operations, KCM operations do affect directly our people in the constituency. And of course, we have a lot of people in the informal sector, those that go into Sokone market to sell their commodities. So those are some of the key players in the constituency. And of course, I want to thank the clergy in the constituency, because they've helped us whenever we want to sensitize the public about things like constituency development fund. We go through churches, we inform the churches, we ask them, can we do an announcement? And once we do that, the information goes out there, which is very useful. And I think that we have local strategies on how we are coping with some of these challenges, but obviously, ultimately, we need central government support. We've started with basic infrastructure. We need to educate as many people in the constituency. I would want the constituents to produce more engineers. I want the constituents to produce more doctors, more teachers, more journalists, people that can come and contribute to the economy of our country. So of course our primary objective is to provide health infrastructure and also provide educational infrastructure. We have a hospital, what used to be a clinic, a Ndeke Village clinic in Ndeke Village that we are now upgrading. The previous government did commence the upgrading works. We have a maternity wing now, and now we want to add a mortuary, a theatre and other things, so that that health facility in Ndeke Village could cater for that catchment area. We also want to upgrade Zamtan clinic also into a facility with support infrastructure. We also want to upgrade primary schools into secondary schools, so that when children finish grade 7, they quickly go into grade 8, 9 up to grade 12. So part of the constituency development fund, we have channeled it towards adding 4 more classes. We want to finish classes at Wesley Nyerenda. We want to finish 3 classes at Mlenga Primary. We want to do the same in all the other schools that we have in the constituency, so that we shorten the distances. We don't want a challenge where when someone finishes their grade 7, they have to walk a long distance. That's one of the strategies we are using. We are also doing bridges. We want people to be able to connect, and that is why earlier this week I did raise an issue with the Minister of Infrastructure that our farmers need to have their bridges worked on, so that they can transport their farm produce, so that they can transport their farm inputs, and so that we can have the economy happening, economic activity happening in the farm block of the constituency. So it's education, health, general infrastructure like bridges. We also have roadworks that we want to work on, and we have allocated from the constituency development funds for this year about 600,000 kwacha, which will go towards fuel for the council to grade our roads. It's a wide scope of things that we want to do, but ultimately I want us to simplify the empowerment programs. The way the empowerment programs have been designed, I feel will not yield the right results. The issue of cooperatives, we've had challenges. People form cooperatives, they get the money, they have challenges starting a business, yet they asked for money to start a business. So I did ask our colleagues in central government if we can redesign empowerment programs. So that is on my agenda for this year. Before 2022 comes to an end, we should be able to say we think we can do empowerment programs in this fashion. And I think that that is some of the things that we are we are working on. So pretty much it's health, education, the basic things that everyone talks about, but localized to the needs of the people in Kamfinsa. The residents of Kamfinsa, of course, gave me an opportunity to come here and speak for them. And I think that whenever we ask questions in Parliament, mostly it is issues affecting our young people, issues affecting the constituency, issues affecting Mulenga compound. I would want to assure them that it may not be done, everything may not be done in 5 years, but we are going to lay the foundation and we are going to demonstrate that some of the priorities have been attended to. We are going to ensure that educational infrastructure, the schools out there are worked on. We are going to ensure that we provide the necessary blueprint for working on roads. Those are our priorities.
Parliament Television Business is still on the 20 minutes health break, and in few seconds time we'll be able to cross back to the floor of the House for resumption of business after the healthy break. And at the time business was suspended, the House has just concluded considering question 27, and it was considering question 28, and Mr. Jonathan Daka, Chadiza Member of Parliament, has just rose to ask the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development a question for oral answer. And the member wants to find out whether the government is aware that the Constituency Development Fund's construction projects countrywide are being undertaken without the application of quality control and quality assurance mechanism. So shortly when business resumes, the member will continue asking that question. And so far, the House has considered 4 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74. We now cross back to the floor of the House.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. When business was suspended, the House was considering question 28 on the order paper asked by the Honorable Member for Chadiza. And the Honorable Acting Minister of Local Government was about to start responding. May the Honorable Minister continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Daka, Member of Parliament for Chadiza, is asking the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development the following question. A, whether government is aware that constituency development construction projects countrywide are being undertaken without the application of quality control and quality assurance mechanisms. And B, if so, what measures are being taken to employ quality control and quality assurance mechanisms so as to prevent the construction of substandard structures and avoid wasteful expenditure of public resources. Mr. Speaker, our response is as follows. Under A, government is not aware that constituency development fund projects are being undertaken without the application of quality control mechanisms. Procurement of CDF projects is done following approved procurement principles of cost, quality, and time delivery. However, just like with some projects outside CDF, we have had in the past, there are instances where a contractor does a poor quality job despite the laid down procedures and principles. B, the government has provided guidance to local authorities to adhere to the procurement guidelines and the principles as laid down by the Zambia Public Procurement Authority Act to ensure quality control in the implementation of the CDF and other projects that are capital in nature. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The next member, Honorable Member for Narolo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Acting Minister, on 4th November 2021, the Honorable Minister of Education reported 441 schools with blown off roofs, and government was looking for 70 million kwacha to fix these, and the majority of these schools were CDF projects. Now, Honorable Minister, my concern is that in the current form where CDF has been enhanced, the council does not have a project manager position. So the issue of quality is urgent. What are you going to do as a ministry now that you are aware that there are some quality issues? What are you going to do as a ministry to address these issues? I submit, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank my brother, Member of Parliament for Nalolo, for that follow-up question. Mr. Speaker, like indicated in our response, the issues of quality delivery of projects, be it CDF or other government projects, is very important. And I want to say that we'll continue ensuring that councils adhere to the measures that we have pronounced as government, that they must ensure that, first of all, they procure quality contractors, and then also ensure that the contractors apply themselves effectively in ensuring that they deliver quality works or quality projects. And members of parliament in constituencies where they feel that there are projects that are substandard or contractors that are providing substandard works, such MPs are at liberty, Mr. Speaker, to engage the local authorities, and where they are not getting cooperation, they can engage my ministry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Furila.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, it's good that you have acknowledged the government is aware of the bad quality of these projects being done under CDF. Mr. Speaker, the compromise in quality happens at different stages, from design, costing, selection of the contractors, supervision while the works are happening, and final acceptance or handover by the contractor. All these stages require quality human resource and the tools by the local authorities. What is clear now is that in most councils, especially those with multiple constituencies, there's a problem, there's a shortage of human resource. And also the tools and equipment for the councils to ensure they do proper design, they do proper costing, they are monitoring and accepting good quality products, projects. So is there anything that the government is considering to beef up human resource in the councils, to give them the tools and the equipment to ensure that they have capacity to do proper designs and monitoring and reports? Because it is true that we are losing a lot of money under CDF as a result of these bad quality works that are being done for the projects. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to set the record straight, but before that, I also want to thank my brother, the MP from Fulida, for that follow-up question. But to set the record straight, I did not say that government is aware. I said government is not aware that there is the implementation of CDF projects in a substandard way. But arising from this question, which has brought this to the fore, I was urging that we must continue through the councils to ensure that quality works are being delivered. Secondly, the issue of capacity. Mr. Speaker, we have engineers in most of our councils who are responsible for the implementation of these projects and also inspections. However, in terms of capacity, as we implement the decentralization policy, we, as government, we are committed to ensure that we continue improving capacity of our councils so that as they are receiving a lot of money, a lot of projects in the various districts, capacity also must improve to ensure that the works that are being delivered, issues of monitoring and evaluation are scaled up. So as government, we are committed from time to time to ensure that we improve capacity in the local authorities and other government institutions so that the implementation of the decentralization policy is scaled up and is done in a manner that our citizens will receive quality projects. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. My advice also to honorable members is that this CDF has a component of administration. There is a component of money, about 5% thereabout. As members of parliament, we have to ensure that the councils procure truck staff for the test of concrete and also dumpy levels. So we have these monies that we can utilize as members of parliament in the meetings so that the councils are also equipped fully for them to be able to, they are able to carry out tests to ensure that the required concrete is adhered to. And also the vehicle, we've got a vehicle, and fuel should be sufficient enough. So it's just to put mechanisms in place to ensure that monitoring is adhered to. The last honorable member of parliament for Vubwi, for us to make progress.
Thank you, Minister, for the statement given. I think taking advantage of this same question, I want to find out on the position of government to some of these constituencies or districts which have not yet received the monitoring. How far is the matter? I submit. Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the question is now stretching to the issues of vehicles. But I want to thank the Member of Parliament, my brother, from a very important constituency, Vubwi. Please, greetings to the people of Vubwi. Mr. Speaker, the other constituencies that have not received their vehicles, they will be able to receive pretty soon, and most of the vehicles are in now. I think what is happening is just small administrative issues, but most of the vehicles are almost in and ready for distribution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honor of the question, Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving this opportunity to the people of Chadiza. Mr. Speaker, as I stand here, I'm a very sad person. Madam Speaker, what I was trying to get from this question from the minister.
Mr. Speaker.
Sorry for that. Mr. Speaker, what I was trying to get from this question is supposed to come from the actual day-to-day supervision of works in various sites that we have out there on CDF programs. You know very well, Mr. Speaker, that CDF projects are littered throughout the country in various areas in several constituencies. Now, if you go to these sites, Mr. Speaker, you'll find that simple things like construction material, like blocks, just holding a block would start crumbling in your hands. If you look at issues to do with the window frames and even the windows themselves, Most of them are defective. You go to doors and door frames, Mr. Speaker. You have a situation like in my constituency, Mr. Speaker, where I'm seated right away inside one of the health posts. I'm able to see through a door of what is happening outside. Mr. Speaker, the situation on the ground is quite pathetic. Now, my question to the minister is why, because this affects the day-to-day supervision of works, why can't we consider employing clerk of works on each and every project? And it's very simple to do that. My proposition is that this very contract document that we sign with contractors, you can put a slot as a provision for a clerk of works, so that this clerk of works act like your eyes on a day-to-day basis on these several sites that we have throughout our constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister, Acting Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've taken note of the proposal by the mover of this question. However, I think that what is obtaining in his constituency might not be what is happening in Munali constituency. So, since that is the case, those who feel that they have situations like that where there's really poor quality of delivery by some contractors, please feel free to put it in writing to Ministry of Local Government, to the councils, and the copy to Ministry of Local Government, so that we can deal with the cases as they arise, because I don't think that this is a widespread situation. You are also talking to a minister who has a constituency. And just to also appeal, Mr. Speaker, that as members of parliament, also using, taking advantage of the parliamentary reforms, where now we have constituencies in our constituency offices in our constituencies, and government has given us the vehicles for monitoring and evaluation. Let also our officers be on the ground to ensure that what is being delivered, where government is spending money, including CDF money, we must derive quality works from there. So let us also scale up the inspections so that we can make informed decisions, or you can help the ministry to take corrective measures. I don't think that the solution is to employ the clerk of works, but to ensure that we push our technocrats at the council level to do their works, the engineers. I think that is the solution. But where you feel that the councils are not, the council officials are not doing the works as expected, please engage us so that we can quickly take corrective measures. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Let's make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Nalikwanda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question 29.
The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honorable Member is asking the Ministry a question in 5 parts. A, how many youth clubs were formed in Nalikwanda parliamentary constituency from 2016 to 2021, year by year? In B, whether the clubs above were empowered by government. In C, if so, what form of empowerment was provided? In D, if the empowerment was in a monetary form, or how much money was allocated to each club? And in E, whether the clubs are monitored to verify whether the clubs are operational. Mr. Speaker, the area member of parliament may wish to note that from the year 2016 to 2021, the ministry has no record regarding the formation of youth clubs, specifically for Narikwanda constituents. The available information indicates that clubs were centrally registered under Mongu district by the Registrar of Society and the National Youth Development Council. During the period under review, a total of 73 clubs were registered, and out of which 63 were registered under Registrar of Societies and 10 were registered under National Youth Development Council. In 2016, 9 clubs were registered. In 2017, 18 clubs were registered. In 2018, 22 clubs were registered. In 2019, 6 were registered. In 2020, 3 were registered. In 2021, 5 clubs were registered. Mr. Speaker, the cooperative registered under the National Youth Development Council were 10. In B, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament may wish to note that 7 clubs registered by National Youth Development Council were empowered by ministry during the period under review. In C, the Honorable Member of Parliament may wish to note that the ministry empowered the clubs in form of money equivalent to proposed equipment requested in the application form. And indeed, the Honorable Member may wish to note that the money allocated to each club was as follows. Narikwanda Youth Livestock Breeding Club was given or was allocated 100,000 kwacha. Narikwanda Agricultural Marketing Club was given 250,000 kwacha. Namengo Youth Club was given 60,000 kwacha. Loma Youth Club was given 60,000 kwacha. Siowe Youth Club was given 60,000 kwacha. Mbekisa Youth Club was given 60,000 kwacha. Lukalanya Youth Club was given 60,000 kwacha. In E, the Honorable Member may wish to note that the clubs were monitored and the status of the club is as follows. Narikwanda Youth Livestock Breeding Club is operational. Narikwanda Agriculture Marketing Club, not operational. Namengo Youth Club, operational. Loma Youth Club, not operational. Siowe Youth Club, the provincial team have failed to get in touch of this club. So no information as yet as to how they are performing. The Kisa Youth Club, operational. Lukalanya Youth Club, operational. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any follow-up question? The Honorable Member for Nalikwanda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I find out from the Minister? You know, most of these clubs were formed just before the election in 2021. Would the Minister recommend for a special audit to make sure that there was no political abuse for this fund? Thank you very much.
The Acting Minister of Youth, Sports and Art.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, and thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, this is public resource, wherever public resources have been used, there is a mechanism to make sure that audits are carried out to verify how the public resource, which is from the government, being used. So indeed, Mr. Speaker, as we continue to empowering our youth, we are not forgetting what was given to them and how it is being used. And Narikwanda, being one of the constituencies that benefited from these funds, will make sure that we understand how the public resource has been used by our youth in that constituency. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to ask Honorable Minister about those clubs which are not in operation. What is the way forward? That was my question. I thank you.
The Acting Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts.
Thank you very much. Like you heard, Mr. Speaker, that this money which was allocated was done during or towards election. So there's a lot of things that happens when the elections are on. But that's the more reason we have said that an audit has to be carried to us to understand that why those clubs are not operational, since they have got this public resource. And that is, the way things were happening in the past regime. But I can assure you, under the new Dawn administration, once you are given public resource, you have to use it accordingly. I thank you.
Last question from the Honourable Member for Narikwanda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The minister stated that these clubs were being monitored. However, he said there's one club where the provincial officers failed to get in touch. I find this statement to be contradicting itself, because you cannot give money to someone as a loan or an empowerment without knowing where that person or club is found. May I find from the minister? Did the ministry give these funds to actual clubs who are found in Narikwanda? Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Honourable Member, you need to engage the Minister at an appropriate time. Let's progress. Next question, the Honourable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The people of Lundazi asking question 30.
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Nyirenda for Lundazi constituency to ask the Minister of Technology and Science, A, whether the government has any plans to construct communication towers in the following areas in the Lundazi parliamentary constituency. 1, Dunduzu. 2, Kabindula. 3, Nyangwe. 4, Mukawile. 5, Mwanga. And 6, Kachenche. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and C, if there are no such plans, why? Mr. Speaker, I wish to inform the House as follows. A, the government has plans to construct communication towers in all parts of the country without network coverage. To ascertain the mobile network coverage gap, the government undertook a gap analysis which revealed that 5 sites needed coverage in the Lundazi parliamentary constituency, namely Kanyunya, Lunevwa, Chilola, and Ndonda under Lundazi constituency. These areas cover Dunduzu, Kabindula, Nyangwe, Mukawile, Mwanga, and Kachenche. However, should any of the above areas fall outside the findings of the gap analysis, the government will undertake a focus assessment of the said areas to either establish the possibility of coverage optimization or construct new towers. B, the plans will be implemented in 2024 when funds are available. C, due to A and B above, C falls out. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Minister, you said those towers will be constructed when funds are available. And I'm very much aware that very soon the Minister of Finance will be presenting budget to this House. Would the Minister confirm if at all he would take any courtesy of including those towers in this year's budget so that the MP for Lundazi and myself can be one of those to help in approving that budget line so that the people of Lundazi can have those towers constructed in this year? Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
I'm not quite sure whether, because the budget is going to be ready very soon. So it means that it has been already prepared. So I cannot go to the finance minister. Maybe by implication, since the plans will be implemented in 2024. Maybe by implication, I don't know. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's quite sad that out of the 10 wards in Lundazi, you can only communicate effectively to 2 wards. I do not want to apportion the blame, but the people of Lundazi have this question for you, Honorable Minister. What did those people who came from Zamtel come to do, if at all, the plans are not anytime soon? Because there was an assumption that they were going to put up the communication towers this year. What did they come to do? Did they just come for show, or what is it that they came to do?
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Construction of towers, I think, goes with the money. If it was not budgeted for this year, and we all know that we passed the budget, so probably there was no budget line, but they came to assess. And maybe, this is what I'm saying, maybe by implication, when we say that the plans will be implemented in 2024, when funds are available, I'm saying maybe by implication, it means that the towers will be constructed next year.
The Honorable Member for Chiruvi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The people of Chuluvi are very concerned, arising from the answers that have been given by the acting minister concerning Rundazi, especially the towers. Earlier this year, the Minister of Technology asked different members of parliament, and a sense of urgency was attached to that request. According to what the minister even emphasized, that these towers are going to be undertaken this year. Now, I'm at pains to understand the postponement that has been taken to next year, because if I decipher well, you find that some of those areas that Lundazi has lined up, I think they are one of those that were being affected and were requested for by the ministry, which attached serious sense of urgency. There was even a deadline to that requirement. Now I feel that we were mocked in a manner. I don't know what the minister can say about that.
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Yes, all of us were asked, including me. So the only thing that I can state as of now is when they collect the information together, they want to plan for the budget. I don't think that, I can't recall anyway. Let me not, I cannot recall that he said bring so that tomorrow we put towers. I can't recall that. But I think that when we collect data, we want to plan for another year. I mean, even in logic would tell that way. So in June, we passed the other budget in December. And then, without a budget line, we want to say that bring now so that tomorrow we build a tower. I don't think so. I don't think that way. Logic would just entail, say that those are things that they wanted to factor for 2024. And by implication, this is why I'm saying that by implication, when it is written 2024, all of us, including me, I also put, there are two places where there is no coverage. So we put. But what I recall is that it was not in January or what. It was just mid-year. And then the sense of urgency was to prepare yourselves. So you cannot just say that because there was a deadline. The deadline was required in order for us to factor that. I'm just using logic here now.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It may seem very simple to give such vague answers when it is not your constituency which is actually affected. The people of Lundazi are demanding from the government that the towers should be built. You will need them in 2026 to communicate to the people there. You will need them. You may not need them today, but 2026, you'll be panicking everywhere because you want to know what you have gotten in Dunduz. My question to you, Honorable Minister, are you considering putting this issue of communication towers in Lundazi in the 2024 budget I submit?
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science, but let's avoid to be emotional though.
Mr. Speaker, Member of Parliament for Lundazi. I wanted her to listen very attentively. When you say you will need them, not myself or the ministry, we all need them. Even in now, if I had my way, I was going just to tell engineers going to construct today. So we all need them. This is why in my preamble I said government has plans to construct communication towers in all parts of this country, including Chilobi. So we all collectively need them because I also have relatives there. And I have you, who is my former student, to communicate with you. So we'll do that for every part of this country. In any case, it is so helpful for any one of us. All right? Communication is vast. All right? Remote areas, I have schools. I'm a Minister of Education. I have schools. I have to find out what is happening in every school. So by implication, this is why I was saying that by implication, one would reasonably feel that we will do all these things in the next budget. Okay, I hope that satisfies you. Come and ask me then next year.
Thank you. Let's make progress since this question was constituency-based. The clerk will now read the orders of the day.
Thanks, His Excellency the President's address, motion of 13th September, resumption of debate.
When business was interrupted yesterday, Thursday, 14th September 2023, the House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Member for Mwandi that the House thanks for this assembly be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the President's address, and the Honorable Member for Kanchibia was debating. May the Honorable Member continue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd moved to the agriculture sector. And in speaking to the agriculture sector, Mr. Speaker, what is critical is that instead of us doing business as usual, it is important that, number one, we seriously consider mechanization as a country. Number two, we must seriously consider irrigation as a country. There is every need, Mr. Speaker, for us to move our farmers from the hoe to the tractor. And also in terms of irrigation, let us draw inspiration from countries where the president has been, like Israel, with one river called River Jordan. And they've become the global leaders in terms of drip irrigation. Mr. Speaker, the other sector is the livestock sector and the fisheries sector. The need for artificial insemination in these two sectors ought to take center stage. It cannot be business as usual. We cannot say that we want to be net exporters when we don't want to improve the quality of our fish, the quality of our livestock. Then we'd be joking. Mr. Speaker, it's also very important for us to understand that we are trapped in this mono-staple food or staple crop called maize. Zambia is suffering from a maize-centric mentality. And the more reason why, every time Ubunga mealie meal has become political, because we have refused to diversify. And if there's anything the Ministry of Agriculture needs to be doing is to bring transformation of this particular sector, diversifying the crop portfolio as a matter of urgency. As we stand, Mr. Speaker, it is as good as saying that the Minister of Agriculture is the Minister of Maize, because we have refused to diversify. Mr. Speaker, we have sung about the farming blocks. And what we are now saying is that when the President pronounces himself around the farming blocks, the technocrats, the ministries responsible must be given clear targets, performance contracts, such that when people fail to deliver, they must be fired. Mr. Speaker, we cannot have a mono-staple food crisis as a country when we have 2/3 of fresh water as Zambia. Over 50% of our land is arable. Only 15% is under cultivation. And yet we think we are going to increase production by remaining with business as usual. It doesn't happen that way. Certain things ought to change. Mr. Speaker, there's need for us to look at what was done in the past and probably reinvent what can be done. For example, we need to get the FRA into the export gear. Let's get back to NAMBOARD, ZAMHOT, concepts and models with improved corporate culture. Market scouting cannot be done by an individual farmer. But if we look at the models which were used in the past, let's improve on the corporate culture. And Zambia can become that net exporter. Mr. Speaker, I'll address myself to the environment. The need for us to prioritize reforestation, planting of fruit trees. Land restoration is a potential job creator in this country. Forest management with a full involvement of communities. And in that regard, Mr. Speaker, we expect that the Ministry of Green Economy will be given greater allocation under 2024, because we know that that is one way of empowering our people. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Member. The Honorable Member for Nyimba. Honorable Member for Bangweulu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to have given the people of Bangweulu the opportunity to reflect on the speech that was given by the President last Friday. I will simply start by saying that this is the most boring speech I've never come across. It is my considered view that is the most boring speech I've never come across since I became Member of Parliament in 2015. On page 4, Mr. Speaker, the President was talking about retaining prudent spending. Okay? Prudent spending has come back to this country. I'll ask questions. I'll ask questions. Undertaking 52 foreign trips, you can call that prudent spending? 52 foreign trips in 2 years, which translates into every 2 weeks. In the past 2 years, he has been traveling. Every 2 weeks. So is that prudent spending? commuting from his house every day for the past 2 years, spending money. Is that prudent spending? That is actually carelessness, spending. It is misusing the resources of this country. Mr. Speaker, can I be protected from armchair debaters?
Thank you. You are protected, but let's ensure that we stick our debate to the speech.
The debate.
Because I think certain things we attract animosity on our own. From the onset, when you said that this was a boring speech, I was even wondering, maybe
that is my opinion.
It didn't include bars. That's why it was boring.
That is my opinion, Mr. Speaker. Spending government resources every 2 weeks traversing the world is not prudent spending. It is careless spending. Commuting from your house for 2 years, spending taxpayers' money, is not prudent spending. And then he was even talking about financial prudence. What is financial prudence? You are cancelling the procurement of FISIP. Every 2 weeks you cancel, 10 times in a week. Is that prudent financial management? This year alone, in 2 weeks you have cancelled 5 times. What is the prudence in there? Okay? The evidence is in public domain. Let me now talk about the debt. The president went to the extent of saying those people who borrowed are abnormal. That is what he said. Now I want to ask a question myself. To borrow $6 billion in 2 years, is that normal or abnormal? So who is abnormal? So if you said PF borrowed because they are abnormal, UPN has borrowed $6 billion in 2 years. So if borrowing is abnormal, it therefore follows that whoever has borrowed is abnormal. So we are all abnormal because we borrowed and they have borrowed.
Order.
Point of order.
There's a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the rules of this House is that if you are making an assertion, you must provide the evidence. If he's saying that this government in 2 years has borrowed $6 billion, 65, 1 and 2, let him lay the evidence on the table. Otherwise, we will say he's abnormal.
Order. Honorable members, let's ensure that we stick to our debate, and we shouldn't make pronouncements that we can't substantiate. Just to guide you, let's ensure that we debate on issues that we are aware of, not assumptions, so that we don't mislead the public and we don't mislead ourselves.
Mr. Speaker, we approved the borrowing plan here. This House approved the borrowing plan. So if those who borrowed in the past were abnormal, even those who are borrowing now are abnormal. That is the point I'm making. Since we approved the borrowing plan, we are all abnormal by approving that plan. The next point, Mr. Speaker.
There's a point of order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me to rise on a very, very serious point of order. And my point of order is premised on Standing Order number 65. Honorable Speaker, the honorable member who is on the floor has indicated that this is the first time in his life at Parliament to see a very boring speech. I just want to know what has attracted him to debate a boring speech. I thank you, Madam. Mr. Speaker.
Order. Honorable member for Kasenengwa. Let's mind how we react when others are talking so that they are not disturbed. However, word of caution, I think let's avoid making certain statements. Let's just ensure that we stick to the contents of the speech, other than making certain assertions that may just provoke the situation. That is my guidance, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remember some years back, presidential speeches were being torn apart in this House, in pieces. I don't know what has changed. So I'll move from borrowing because it looks so much a thorny in some colleagues' flesh. But the bottom line is that UPND has borrowed $6 billion in 2 years. I'll move on another point, Madam Speaker. I'll speak about...
Honorable Member. Mr. Senga, what are you saying?
I'm saying you called him Madam Speaker, so I'm telling him he's not Madam Speaker.
Okay.
I'm correcting him.
Let's ensure that I think I've guided you on that.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Because you don't have any evidence to back your claims. Do you have evidence that government has borrowed 6 million?
That is in... It has been a notorious fact, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Honorable Member, take your seat. No, but don't... You haven't been called upon to...
Okay. The Minister of Finances has come to this August House and that plan was approved. So what is he talking about? Don't be misled, Mr. Speaker.
No, I can't be misled. I'm talking, I'm guiding on my firm grounds that we shouldn't debate on issues that we can't substantiate. Yes. So let's just stick to the speech, presidential speech. If that's presidential speech, there's no 6 billion.
All right. Okay,
Mr.
Speaker.
I have it here. There's nothing of that sort. So let's just stick to the speech that was brought to the House.
Okay.
Because whatever you be saying here, you mislead people. Things that are not here or there. So let's just stick to the speech.
All right, Mr. Speaker, we approved the borrowing plan in this House. So government has proposed the borrowing plan, and they have been borrowing, as far as I know, for consumption, not even for investment. I'll move on to desks. On page 16, the President said that unlike in the past, desks are being procured in this country. I just want to inform the President, through the Minister of Education, that since 2011, government never procured any single desk from abroad. Desks were made in Makishi Road by ZEPU and provincial education board officers. So there was no single desk bought outside the country from 2012. I just wanted to help the President understand that he was misled. Okay? And then the other point I want to refer to, is that the President said that Turkish and the Mozambican Airlines have resumed coming to Zambia because he's in government. Far from it. The resumption of these airlines coming back to Zambia is not by accident, it's by design, by the huge investment the PF government put in the aviation industry, by constructing new runways, airports. This is what has attracted these airlines to come back, because the former Minister, Honorable Okafor, signed those agreements. Okay? So development is a relay. Like he was claiming that they have constructed Kasama Runway. You have completed Kasama Runway because development is a passing on a button, is a relay. 85% was already done. So this is the problem I have with this speech. Another point I want to comment on is when the president said the last time we saw graders, it was in UNIP. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We know CDF, through CDF, members of parliament have been procuring graders. Even when the money was 700,000 kwacha. I'll demonstrate. I'll demonstrate. In southern province, those who are now ministers, they know that they procured graders that has not even arrived up to today. They are even in this house. So I'm surprised the president didn't know. The president didn't know that Kanyama constituents are the grader. The president didn't know that Kasama are the grader. Chienge are the grader. Serenje are the grader. Lunte are the grader. Now, because probably I just wanted to demonstrate that this speech, 90% of the speech was simply untrue. A lot of falsehood in this speech. Mr. Speaker, typical of some people, it is rare that they tell the truth. I submit.
Order. The Honorable Member for Chiluvi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to start my debate by looking at the theme that was presented by our President. When the Commander-in-Chief comes to National Assembly, it becomes the Parliament, and I think that is legal. And when that comes in, we all expect that the Commander-in-Chief is going to use the tone for the Republican president, not that of a political party. The theme is building on the socio-economic gains for improved livelihood and a better Zambia. Based on that theme, Mr. Speaker, the President highlighted some of the things, but I would like to indicate that I was at crossroads, because when I compared the speech which we got from the Hansard and this speech, they are at variance, meaning that we don't know which one we can even adopt as official report. Because if you pick the speech that is from verbatim, you find that there were a lot of issues that have not been captured in here, that have been captured in there. But all the same, let me venture into looking at what the President pointed out to. I would like also to resonate that the speech was, I don't want to blame the President for this one. I think I want to blame the people that are involved in bringing up the speech for the President, that the speech was poorly researched. Poorly researched. Because if you compare national statistics with what the President brought, I think let them not expose the President to that kind of vulnerability, really. It's not worth it. When we talk about agriculture, the President talked about meal and maize and so forth. Well, depending on where you come from, you can't intimidate me. Recently, there was an operation in Munari constituency where they took ZNS with a firefighting measure which was meant to provide meal at, I think, at 175 kwacha. When we look at that measure, can I be protected, Mr. Speaker?
No, you are protected.
Yes,
but
we are not. I'm
you
not
are
protected by those charlatans who are
Honorable
shouting.
member, you are protected, but don't mispronounce words deliberately.
I come from Chirubi, so I don't care. If it's a Chinese who mispronounce, you didn't care. So I think looking at time, when we look at agriculture, agriculture as things stand is a failed product. It's a failed project. It's a failed project in that that thing you call comprehensive agriculture what? It's not even explained. I think even that other time the Minister of Livestock even failed to explain certain things. When you look at the investment which the President referred to in the farming blocks, which is $300 million, the Minister confirmed of Agriculture that that is a failed project. So, when we look at the issue the President referred to, which is the 4,000 tractor-driven project, I don't know where it is happening, because in my constituency it's not there. So, it is a failed project. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the megawatts that the President referred to, I think let's learn to, especially where I started with the theme, let us learn to appreciate each other. That is the legacy of PF, which invested from independence, which invested in hydropower. And I think let us learn to be humble enough to appreciate what others have done, because government is a going concern. Mr. Speaker, on the same power, when we look at issues of power, Chilubi, I heard the minister yesterday was saying that there's no road shedding. We are experiencing 6 hours every day. I don't know, that is on average, 6 hours of load shedding every day. I don't know if we are part of Zambia or not. Then I want to address the issue of human and social development. It is shameful that we keep on being proud as a nation and boast that we are employing people. Before, the teachers and health workers were employed using special drawing rights, which came in the country on 3rd August 2021, which is 1.3 billion. And that should be accredited to the PF equally. Now, when we look at that, you find that it's only health workers and teachers that have been employed. When we talk about human development, it should be a multidisciplinary arrangement. And in any case, this mode that we have taken to employ people using a government means is going to collapse the economy at one point or the other. Because what we are supposed to do is to provide incentives to the private sector that should take up and lift the pressure from the government to employ the citizens. You are charlatans, you don't know what you're talking about. So, when you look at that, it is also a leakage, because the president talked about ceiling leakages. It's a serious leakage, because when the UPND took over power, 53% of the annual budget was already going to emoluments. And looking at that factor, the civil servants were about 340 plus. Then you added another 40. You are not telling the truth for the nation. That is why even this fake inflation of single digit cannot hold, because the factors are not supporting it. Because it's just on its own. The factors for, maybe when you look at the balance of payments and many other factors, export versus import, things are in disarray. Let us not teach ourselves. Now, when we look at what the president referred to as in good governance environment, we are in a kerfuffle, if that can be said that way. Because when we look at implementation of justice, it's selective justice. When we look at everything that is talking about, because when we are talking about good governance, we are talking about social justice, we are talking about economic justice and many other factors. Those who are saying where, even here in parliament there's discrimination. How do you vote for yourselves? The members of public are booing at you. You just pick yourselves and you vote for yourselves. And when you say where, you should be ashamed. Things are not okay in this nation. Now, looking at this, we are talking about
There's a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to raise this point of order. Mr. Speaker, this is in line with our standing orders to do with content of speech, and that the statements that are given on the floor of this House should be factual. Mr. Speaker, this is the National Assembly of Zambia, and in not any other debate platform where you can issue statements willy-nilly, because what comes out of the floor of this House is taken to be serious out there by the viewers, the citizens, including the international community, because we live in a global village, who are interested in human rights. The honorable member on the floor has made startling and hair-raising statements that are manifestly unsubstantiatable by indicating that there is selective justice in this country. He first said in this country and including this House. Mr. Speaker, is the honorable member in order to make such carte blanche statements, knowing very well the rules of this House, that the statements we make must be factual and substantiatable? I need your very serious ruling, Mr. Speaker, because these colleagues from PF are rolling the bar of debate on the floor of this House. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. I think I have to give advice to the House that, one, we should not bring ourselves or the House into debate. Number one, we are not allowed. Our rules don't allow. Secondly, the issues of selective justice that you've just mentioned, I think let's ensure that we don't mislead the public. Such an issue is quite sensitive. I think let's avoid making such statements because the public is listening. Let's avoid misleading ourselves for political expediency. Let's ensure that we stick to the contents of debate. That's my guide. May the honorable member continue.
Mr. Speaker, as I end, I would like to say that when we talk about a nation, in a nation has 10 provinces, of course, and the Constitution talks about unitary state. I wouldn't want to venture into looking at time. But let me say that in terms of justice, there are a lot of people that are waiting to be awarded at the Ministry of Justice. And we have jumped where we have started awarding people that have just been and on trampled up.
Order. The time is up, honorable member.
I've driven
The honorable member for Sikongo is next.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to add a few words to the speech by the President. I want to start by saying that the speech by the President can be described as a speech that was uplifting and inspirational. Inspirational in the sense that during the delivery of the speech, the President outlined a number of achievements which the European government has been able to achieve in barely 2 years in office. And key sectors that have made significant strides in this regard, we are talking about education, where we have seen a lot of desks being delivered across the country. We have seen teachers being employed, the introduction of the free education. In health, we are talking about the construction of maternity wings across the country. We are talking about social cash transfer, which has been expanded, more money given to our people. So there are a number of achievements that have been achieved by the New Dawn administration, and this is not debatable. Those that are calling the speech as a trash are people that are bitter, are armchair critics. And if my colleagues on the left want to continue on this trend, why they want to start talking about things that are clearly visible in the eyes of the people as nonsense, then they are burying themselves. You are dead and buried. You never come back. I know the issue of trying to talk trash about the UPND is because I think up to now, it's unfortunate that up to this point, 2 years down the road, you have not accepted that you lost elections. You need to accept that elections were lost and begin to
There is
think
a point of order by the Honorable Member for Chiluvi.
Mr. Speaker, my point of order is based on 65, relevance of speech. I know that my brother wouldn't have time to read the speech through and maybe didn't take task to understand what was in that speech. Is the member of parliament who is on the floor in order to bring us in the speech, because you few minutes ago you guided me that we should not debate ourselves, but he has been allowed to continue debating on that line, actually putting the House into contempt according to a standing order 207. So is it in order to bring the House into contempt, because it's not going to attract those you have just been ruling, and then he goes on to debate in the manner that he's doing.
Order. I think I reserve my ruling. Let's proceed, Honorable Member.
In his speech, the president talked about the stabilization of the economy. And I think this is another aspect that we cannot argue about. Because when you took over government, the GDP of this country was minus 2.8. And as we speak today, in 2022, it came to 4.7%. So I think that is in itself economic stabilization. And you cannot argue about that. The other issue is, you see, the new Dawn administration is going about its work in a systematic manner. So this is not autopilot. The economy is not on autopilot. There's a leader who knows what he's doing, a coach that is able to know what he's doing so that he arrives at his vision. I've heard people on radio talking about a lot of things, trying to mislead this country. I want to go to the issue of the minimum that people are talking about here. I think let's face facts. The problem of minimum in this country has been a perennial problem, starting from UNUP, MMD, PF, and now UPND. But I want to tell you one thing. The difference is this. Under the new Dawn administration, we are trying to look for permanent solutions, sustainable solutions to the problems that have faced this country. So when we are talking about minimum going high, if I can just give you a flashback, Mr. Kambwili, under PF, was on record condemning how the PF administration had increased the price of minimum so high. It is on record. But what we are doing now is we want to find a lasting solution.
Order by the Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Mr. Speaker, I rise reluctantly on this point of order to the fact that in this August House we don't cite people that can't come here and defend themselves. The Honorable Member is trying to justify the high cost of mealie meal, to which he can't even prescribe a solution, as he's debating, in order to name an individual who is not able to come and defend himself. He has mentioned an individual in a speech called the Honorable Kambwili, who is no longer part of this August House. And following my colleague who had risen on the point of order area, and this is Standing Order 67, relevance of speech. My colleague who is waiting to join the front bench because he needs to be active there, my dear colleague from Southern Province, is the honorable member on the floor in order to cite individuals who can't defend themselves here. It's a well-known practice. I seek your serious guidance on the honorable member so that we don't drag people that can't come here and defend themselves into our debate. I seek your serious guidance.
Thank you. Honorable members, let's ensure that we don't bring people who are not in the House and those that can't debate themselves into our debate. May the honorable member continue.
Well guided, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, I was talking about this government prescribing sustainable solutions to the problems that have been long-lasting in this country. And one of them is the issue of minimum. Now, this government is trying to put in measures that will ensure that the price of mini meal in the long term will not be an issue. Every person, even in the compound, will be able to afford the price of mini meal. Because the PF failed to do that. The other previous governments failed to do that. So what are we doing? What we are doing is this. We are increasing production and productivity in agriculture. How are we doing it? The president has opened the window where people are going to get money, credit window, where you can go and borrow and invest in agriculture. We have the farm blocks, and then we also have the small-scale farmers, the under FISIP. So production and productivity is going to increase. On top of that, when it comes to fertilizer, we have opened up the environment where investors are able to come, and they've already come. The price of fertilizer now has gone to 650 from 102. On top of that, we are bringing in ZNS milling plants. Okay, are you getting me? Yeah. So what is going to happen is, in the long term, medium to long term, we are going to see the price of milling meal going down. And that's what we want. Not superficial appeasement of citizens. That we are doing. No. I want to come to the issue of the debt. I think you should, our colleagues on the left should appreciate and should be the last people to condemn the debt restructuring program. The PF were in government for 10 years. This government has been in office for 2 years. You destroyed the economy in 10 years. You want us to rebuild it in 2 years. Are you normal? Now, what the debt restructuring should be something that we should all talk about in a positive manner. Because the people of Congo, through the debt restructuring now, are looking forward to the Congo-Kalabo Road to be constructed. They are looking forward to the construction of a magistrate's court. They are looking forward to the construction of a level 1 hospital. Because we know, through the debt restructuring, resources have been unlocked. That will go towards productive sectors in this country. So don't condemn the debt restructuring. Because when you do that, then the Zambians out there are saying, are these people, we thought they are going to reform. But, so now, the other issue that I want to talk about is this. If the new Dawn, by the time the new Dawn administration leaves office, like we heard from the plans of the president, in the maybe year 2000, somewhere there, it's not the PF that is going to take over. No. I think that one should be made very clear. No. And I want my colleagues, my young colleagues on the other side, should know that they should not be misled.
There's a point of order.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much. I rise on a very serious point of order. Based on Standing Order 65, Mr. Speaker, which requires us as members of Parliament to tender discourse which is verifiable. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleague, who is on the floor of the House, has just told this House that one of the measures they are undertaking is to bring investors to this country. When he knows there is a report from the United Nations which has shown money coming into this country and other countries in Africa. And according to this UN report, Zambia is the last country receiving foreign direct investment to a tune of $116 million. When countries like Egypt are getting amounts of 11 billion from investors, is it in order to mislead this House and the nation that Zambia is attracting investors when in fact Zambia is at the tail end despite all these economic diplomacy trips that his government is taking around the globe? I seek your serious ruling, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I think your contribution and your point of order is appreciated. But you know, we can't operate the House using Facebook. That report should have been laid on the table to may the honorable member continue.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with the mountain of a debt, this government has been able to achieve so much. Now, I'm just wondering what is going to happen with the debt restructuring. Number two, I want to bring to the attention of, of this House. You are the PF, I want to speak to my colleagues from the PF, that this government, this country is in safe hands. And I want to help you not to be so bitter, because we still need you to be alive. To be alive to see how this country is going to be transformed by the time we reach 2030. Yes, we are going 2030. We are going 2030. So, don't get yourself worked out. BP will hit you, and they will not be there when we have achieved economic emancipation for this country. So finally, I think, let me say, Mr. Speaker, that people out there are very happy. The country is in safe hands, and we are making positive strides that we didn't expect. And that's why our colleagues are panicking. Thank you so much.
Order. Who is shouting like that? Huh? Honorable member, how do you shout as if you are in a football pitch? Huh? You are honorable member as such, don't shout like that. Huh? Oh, honorable member for, is it honorable member for Chiruvi? Don't do that. Don't do that, my brother. Huh? No. It's allowed, but you know, you were screaming. Huh? The honorable member from Babala.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to the good people of Mbabara to support the speech by His Excellency, President Hakainde Hichilema, Commander of the Armed Forces in Zambia, and Chairman of COMESA, and also Chairman of the SADC organ on politics and defense. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency is a vision carrier for this country. And he came here to address this august house to set the vision for this country by delivering to us the successes that the UPND government has scored in the last 2 years of our government. Mr. Speaker, the UPND government has scored beyond recognition in the 2 years of service to this country, to which those who were used to partying and drinking Jameson are now very, very scared. You can see, Mr. Speaker, that when he talks about corruption, some members on your left, Mr. Speaker, get agitated because, Mr. Speaker, the president is talking about quality things. You can see, Mr. Speaker, what I'm talking about. This is, Mr. Speaker, the point His Excellency came to deliver here. He came here to ensure that he sets the vision for this country for the next 3 years.
Honorable
Mr.
member
Speaker.
from Babala, there's a point of order.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, I'm rising on this point of order pursuant to Standing Order 66. I don't know if, Mr. Speaker, you were paying attention to the honorable member. You guided earlier on that we should refrain from debating ourselves and referring to ourselves. The honorable doesn't seem to ground his speech on his debate on the speech. He's making insinuations and innuendos that we, on your left, were getting scared of what he attempts to say corrupt pronouncements that were made. Is in order to make insinuations in such a fashion without providing proof to back his allegations. I think it's serious guidance, Mr. Speaker. We want to be orderly in this house, and we are not going to sit here and allow someone to abuse us when we are sitting here listening quietly. We need to seek your serious guidance.
Honorable members, just like I guided earlier, that we should refrain from debating amongst ourselves, even if you could have observed when the president was making his address to the House, one or two things. Let's ensure that we should not bring them on the floor. What I'm trying to emphasize is that let's avoid debating ourselves. That's my guide. The honorable member can continue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Well guided. Mr. Speaker, the key issues which His Excellency was explaining to this House relates to macroeconomic stability for this country going forward. Mr. Speaker, our country has stabilized.
Order. Honorable Nyambose and Honorable Kampiongo. What is the problem? No, you don't need to explain. No, let's avoid. Honorable Nyambose? Honorable Nyambose? Let's avoid Honorable Kampiongo. I've been observing. Let's ensure that I think if you see where he is, there's a row in between. So I think let's ensure to be not provocative in a way. No, I'm guiding. I don't need your comment. I don't need anyone's comment. I'm seeing what is happening. So if certain people are provoked, they'll react. But, let's just avoid that and ensure that the business is transacted well. Today it's a Friday. We just have under 30 minutes before we knock off. May the honorable member continue.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency presented very simple statistics, basic statistics, Mr. Speaker. Anybody who has gone through a PhD program or a master's, even first degree, can understand simple statistics such as the inflation rate and a few other things like the 9.9% in terms of inflation rate and the like. But those who are used to debating abnormally, Mr. Speaker, end up confusing and not understanding the basic statistics the President presented, which have shown stability on the economy. Mr. Speaker, the stability of the economy is what is going to provide the services to my people in Mbabara constituency. It is from there that we are going to see the agriculture program, which His Excellency has outlined to this country, to grow and deliver. And for us in Mbabara, Mr. Speaker, we are very happy with the speech of His Excellency. All what we are asking for is continued input into the area of, for example, repairing our dams, so that we can produce more food for those people, Mr. Speaker, who are complaining that they don't want to be producing. Us, Mr. Speaker, are ready to produce for this country because we are agriculturists, we know agriculture, we've been doing agriculture. From the time I was a young boy to date, I produce mealie meal and I feed myself. And those who are on the side of saying government must produce for them, how do they expect, Mr. Speaker, to have food when they cannot produce for themselves? You need to be productive, and that is the message the president is sharing, and not detractors who are saying, no, we want free mealie meal. Mr. Speaker, they cannot even spell the word mealie meal. It's a shame. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about veterinary services, which we are very happy with the way the vaccination is going on. Well done, New Dawn and Honorable Minister Chikote. We want to continue with that program and to deal with all other animal diseases so that our animals, Mr. Speaker, can continue to produce T-bone for members like Honorable Fube and others who like eating T-bone, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank His Excellency for the continued work he's doing, including now developing the fish market where there is a deficit in this country.
There is a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the member who is debating, he knows very well that from UNIP, government has been providing relief food in Shangombo. Government has been providing food in Rwano Valley. Is it government position that now you have stopped giving relief food as he is insinuating? I need your serious ruling, Mr. Speaker.
But you said it was a point of order and then you didn't state what has been breached.
65.
I know it's on a lighter note. May the honorable member continue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have heard here by people who came in a stupor, who are not listening or paying attention, that the health workers and the teachers were not recruited. We have heard here. Mr. Speaker, 30,000 teachers were recruited and are currently employed and saving and making money for their families. Similarly, 12,000 health workers were recruited and are now saving. In my constituency, in a number of schools and health centers, I've seen a lot of them, Mr. Speaker, who have been employed and are busy working and delivering for the people of Zambia.
Order, honorable member. There's a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, today I've sat very quietly. I'm hoping to be elected as the most disciplined member next time. But this one is too heavy. This house is a house of order. It's a house of honorable members who, in their conduct, in their speech, must respect each other. The rules of the house and our standing orders require for decorum in the house. Is the honorable member of parliament who is debating on the floor of the house, who we hold in very high esteem, Mr. Speaker, is he in order to allege and insinuate and propose or suggest that the honorable member of parliament who raised on a point of order, the husband to Honorable Brenda, has come to the house drunk without laying evidence on the table that Honorable Chopa is drunk? Is he in order to insult the Honorable Member of Parliament who is always sober? Mr. Speaker, I have restrained myself from commenting because I want to be voted the most disciplined. But this one, I leave it to you to rule. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Order, order. I think most importantly, let's avoid bringing each other into debate. As honorable members, let's desist from. Now I'm honorable member for. You're honorable member for which constituency? Bangweulu. Honorable member for Bangweulu, you are becoming unruly these days. No. Because you know, when I'm trying to guide, you are supposed to be attentive. That's what the rules say. On the contrary, you want to be the most outspoken. So I won't allow that. Because we can't be two people in this house directing business. Then one has to leave. So to avoid that, let's just ensure that we conduct ourselves in a honorable manner. At times it doesn't pay to be the most outspoken. There's also wisdom in silence. I think you get more credit from your friends if you are modest, you are silent, you gain more. You don't need to be loud. That's my guide. As for the honorable member on the floor, let's desist bringing ourselves into debate. The honorable member may continue. Honorable member from Babala.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I was just emphasizing or actually lecturing some of my colleagues who didn't pay attention because the president actually mentioned about the figures in terms of recruitments that has been done by the new Dawn government. And these recruitments, the ones which he mentioned in the speech, which are in the speech, are additional for 2023 to 2024. Therefore, actually the recruitment that is going on right now for health is in the speech of last year of the president. So we need to be paying attention, Mr. Speaker. And that's why I said we should not come here in a stupor. We should be coming here to listen and pay attention and get things correct, Mr. Speaker, so that we don't mislead the public out there. We don't need to mislead the public out there. We need to be always talking about facts and things that are going on well. Mr. Speaker, I'm also very happy with the additional ECCD centers because early childhood education, Mr. Speaker, is key to the future of this country. Further on, I'm also very happy that the social cash transfer program continues to go on. What we are calling for, Mr. Speaker, is the improvement in terms of delivery, the issue of people who are receiving on phone. For us in the villages, there is some issues there, including issues of targeting persons with disabilities who need to be supported. Mr. Speaker, my final comment is on the improvement on the airports, which I'm very happy with the Kasama Airport, which has been done by the new Dawn government. And we look forward to the Choma Airport so that we can also become more efficient going to our constituency in Choma with the work of our Honorable Minister, who is doing a very wonderful job there. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity and indeed for His Excellency for raising the level of the debate in the House. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next honorable member for Chitambo.
Mr. Speaker, I want to debate in an odd manner, and I'm scared now that my neighbor here, Member of Parliament for Luano, according to him, is drunk. And I know that, Mr. Speaker, this House is a house of orderliness, and our decorum must always be respected. And, Mr. Speaker, if we are overriding on certain issues where our constituents are feeling that we are drunk in the House, that becomes very dangerous, Mr. Speaker. And having been whip of this House, I feel that we are now lowering the credit and decorum of this House. Mr. Speaker, there was a question here, and believe me, Mr. Speaker, I was going to debate very, very orderly. But I've changed my mind because of the question that I got from the honorable member of Sikongo, who included me in his debate. He asked a question and said, are you normal, you people in the PF?
Honorable member, let me guide you. Let me guide you. Take your seat. I've guided. If the honorable member for Sikongo made a mistake, you shouldn't repeat it. Two wrongs can't make a right. Two wrongs will never make a right. Even from a household point of view, if one person has made a mistake, you're not expected to repeat the same mistake. So my appeal to you is that let's desist from bringing ourselves into debate. If one member made a mistake, we can't continue in that path. I think it's better to correct. Just like you've already put it straight that this is a house of honor. I think in your debate, continue in that path. Demonstrate what you are advocating for. You may continue with your debate.
I've read something on page 4, Mr. Speaker, which has brought me a lot of words to talk about. Mr. Speaker, the President indicated that there is a 4.7% growth which was posted in the year 2022. Figures don't lie, Mr. Speaker. But I want us to be very honest with ourselves. And I know that matters which are affecting the people of Chitambo are also affecting everyone in this country. Matters which are affecting the PF party in terms of economic hardships are also affecting all other parties in this country. Mr. Speaker, if we had posted the 4.7% growth as a country, can we illustrate this and show to the world that Zambia, as we speak right now, economically we are developing? If at all economically we are developing, Mr. Speaker, why are we having fuel prices increasing every day? Why are we having the price of meal escalating every day? Why are we having shortages in terms of meal in parts of this country? Mr. Speaker, it is not only that. The President, he himself, sitting where I seated, Mr. Speaker, he did tell the nation that yes, he accepts things are not well in this country, but he's doing something about it. That is what I really wanted to hear him say, what he's doing about. And he told us that he's been to compounds to see for himself the hardships that the people of Zambia are going through. And it was good that he accepted. And Mr. Speaker, what I want to learn from the executive when they start debating, maybe he has told the executive what he's going to do about the economic hardships that we have. Because figures are here. And I'm aware that post-COVID, we have this positive growth. But this year, 2023, we've been told that the growth will be at 2.7. What is happening? What is wrong? Where are we missing it? If for sure we've stabilized the economy, why are we going to post a less figure than for 2022? Let's interrogate this very carefully so that technocrats don't mislead the executive. For once, they should always bring figures which are interpreting the real GDP vis-à-vis the economic growth. Mr. Speaker, I'm also seeing the 9.9% inflation here. Yes, figures don't lie according to what books say, but can we go on the ground and see whether it is true we don't have any inflation? Mr. Speaker, from the little school and knowledge that I have, I know that inflation is the continuous escalation of prices in commodities. And this is what is happening right now. Prices of commodities have continued to rise, meaning that inflation is there. The price at which meal was being bought in 2021 compared to now, there is a huge difference. And to have a figure maintained at 9.9, because we want to please some people who are going to look at our inflation, it should be very wrong. Let us, as a country, be very honest with ourselves and show the world the figures which are obtaining. Mr. Speaker, there is always a figure that the President has always come with in this House, that this country must achieve the 3 million metric tons of production of copper. This time around, Mr. Speaker, when he came, he never spoke about it. He didn't indicate anything to show where we are in terms of achieving this production. I would like when the Minister of Mines come to debate, to indicate to us what is being done for us to achieve the 3 million metric tons of copper production in this country, for us to have a real GDP. Mr. Speaker, also the Minister of Education, when he comes to debate, I would like him to answer my question. I want to know the 149 secondary schools which the President told us that we have built in the past 2 years. Because up to now, I'm still scratching my bald head, Mr. Speaker, to try and understand where these schools are, so that the Minister could inform the nation so that we know where the 149 schools are. Mr. Speaker, I know for once that even our currency right now has lost value. It has lost value in the sense that the inflation levels are too high. Mr. Speaker, I would once... Mr. Speaker, let me end there.
Order. The Honorable Member for Mangango.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for according the good people of Mangango an opportunity to have a word to the presidential speech, which is very inspiring. It has motivated a lot of people, Mr. Speaker, and is giving hope to a lot of Zambians. As in opposite of our colleagues on your left's thoughts, that with them the speech is not making sense. That's their own reasoning also, because it's like they can't understand simple terminologies and simple concepts that the president put on the floor of this house, that any other person can easily understand. Mr. Speaker, maybe I just try to react to some of the issues that my colleague, the honorable member, who was just on the floor of this house, has tried to talk about. It's like he's trying to understand some issues but misunderstanding all at the same time. He has talked about the fuel prices, which is insinuating that the increase in the fuel prices is because of inflation, which is not correct, Mr. Speaker. From simple macroeconomics, the cause of the increase in prices is because of the direct or the exact cost of fuel that we are buying it at. Mr. Speaker, in those days, Patriotic Front, if we remember very well, was able to sell fuel to the Zambians purporting to have subsidized. Meanwhile, the government was not paying, Mr. Speaker, the subsidy on the fuel. And as such, Zambia accumulated a huge debt, almost 27 billion US dollars, which those people on your left, Mr. Speaker, understand and know very well that the problems that we are facing today is because of their mismanagement of this country. Mr. Speaker, honorable members like this, especially seasoned ones like those, should not be standing on the floor of this house misleading the nation in such a manner.
We are left with 6 minutes. No more point of orders. The honorable member continue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for your protection. Mr. Speaker, it will not be genuine for a government to be lying or not to be telling the truth to the people to say we are subsidizing for you. Meanwhile, we are not paying off the debt. That is not in order, and that's not an honest way of leading a country like Zambia. And that's the reason why the Zambian people are seeing these monthly changes in prices of fuel, which is causing a little fluctuation in some prices, which is very opposed to what my colleague talked about to say it is because of inflation. That is not correct, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also alluded to the prices of mealie meal to say the cost of living because of the price of mealie meal is going up and so on. Mr. Speaker, it is very simple. Very, very simple, Mr. Speaker, to understand what the president talked about on page 4. He talked about creating a very good environment to enable each and every one of us as Zambians take part in agriculture. By agriculture, Mr. Speaker, we are talking about a variety of production of goods that are able and services that are able to enable us produce more. For example, we are talking of, let's talk of simple crop maize. Mr. Speaker, when many take part in the production of maize, even the cost of mealie meal will go low. As opposed to what our colleagues have been telling people standing on the floor of this house that everyone cannot take part in agriculture. Why shouldn't we take part in agriculture? Because even us as members of parliament in here, it is very important that we take part in agriculture, Mr. Speaker, so that we increase on the food basket of this country. And that, Mr. Speaker, will cause the cost of mealie meal also to come down. The president has already given a very good environment for the market of maize itself by increasing a bag of maize, Mr. Speaker, from how much it was costing during their tenure, by suppressing the maize farmers, by making them not being able to produce more. Now the president of the Republic of Zambia, President Hakainde Hichilema, the commander-in-chief of the 4 armed forces, as it stands this time, Mr. Speaker, has created that enabling environment for everyone to produce because there is a ready market of maize at a higher price. Mr. Speaker, if fewer people take part in agriculture, Mr. Speaker, we are going to have a smaller commodity of this maize. Let me give you a very simple illustration. If in here we say, okay, let only Honorable Mwene plant maize and the rest of your members of parliament here to be fed by Honorable Mwene alone, is he going to manage? The answer is no. And since he will not manage, what will be the outcome of the cost of mealie meal? It will be high. As opposed to when you encourage everyone in here, Mr. Speaker, produce maize. There will be a lot of maize, and as such, all these members can be able to feed the single person who is maybe Honorable Mwene, who has not planted maize, and as such, there will be plenty of food to feed the one who didn't farm. And as such, Mr. Speaker, because of the plenty maize that will be there, the cost of mealie meal will also go low. And that is the reason why, Mr. Speaker, the president stated it clearly that he is going to support the agriculture sector
by creating some empowerment to all those that want to venture into agriculture. That is meant to increase the production of the agriculture sector, Mr. Speaker, which is maize and some other livestock. This has only remained, Mr. Speaker, with the Minister of Agriculture now to enact that in Zambia so that there will be a high production of what? Of maize, and there will be more mini meal so that my brothers, like the honorable member for...
Honorable member,
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Avoid bringing this house into debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I again talk about the prudent spending? Members, they say, the president, Mr. Speaker, is going around.
Meaning what?
Mr. Speaker, meaning a child that does not go around and eat from other people's homes, who always appreciate the mother only being the best cook. Meanwhile, there are other people that can cook very well out there. That is the reason why our president is going out there to seek for help from people that are and countries that are able to help us. If he doesn't move, Mr. Speaker, we will remain behind and retarded and keep on deteriorating this economy. Now, Mr. Speaker, the president is going out has not been extravagantly expenditure like it was during the Patriotic Front, where they would go out and start dancing all over like that. No! Mr. Speaker, him who is going out to bring help to us, the Zambians.
Order, honorable member.
Then I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Your time is up. The honorable member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for
Order. As the time is 12:55 hours, I interrupt the proceedings and debate stands adjourned. Day for resumption of debate.
Tuesday, Mr. Speaker.
Debate to resume next Tuesday. The House is now adjourned.
Thank you so much for being with us on Parliament Television. This is we've come to the end of today's transmission, and the House has adjourned, or should I say, today's live parliamentary proceedings, and the House has adjourned to Tuesday next week. Let's quickly look at what has been considered on the floor of the House when business resumed at 09 hours. Madam Speaker did permit the acting leader of government business to present the business statement for the period 19th to 22nd September 2023, and after that she did permit the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honorable Jack Mwimbu, to render two ministerial statements, and the first ministerial